Welcome, Vizlay, to the actuality. We're so glad you've come back from Shadow, that dark world of jobs and taxes and aldermen and mayoral elections. Welcome back to actuality, a land of where magic is real, where secrets abound, and where you have returned to your home of Saturnine along with us.
Somehow we still have aldermen.
We have Garants. It's so
My
different,
Garant's name
James.
is Alderman.
Details. That's Shadow reflecting the real world of actuality. You see,
okay.
And making a pale, facsimile of it. So, hello everybody. This is A Woman with Hollow Eyes, Season 2, Episode 2. I'm your GM, Darcy Ross, and we're playing Invisible Sun today. My pronouns are she, her, and why don't we quickly introduce characters and then get into some goofy action in our beautiful, surreal city of Saturnine today. James, do you want to choose your character?
Yes, hi. My name is James D'Amato. You might recognize me from the One Shot podcast or the Campaign podcast on the One Shot Network or my bad tweets. But today I am going to be playing Calvin Weaver, who is a person who has recently come into the actuality, and he's made a lot of messes, he's made a lot of enemies, but he's trying his best. And his pronouns are he, him, as well as my pronouns are he, him. So I don't know why I closed with that fact.
All right, and
Sure.
try to top that, Adira.
Awesome. I'm Adira Slattery. Hello there. You might know me from this. Wow. Oh, Hollow Eyes is great.
I'm Troy McClure.
Yeah. You might know me from this. Cool. I'm trying to top James's. I figured more awkward was better.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
you're
Awesome.
rocking it.
People love it.
Yeah, everyone
Probably.
loves it when you're incredibly awkward.
Hopefully.
Cool. So I'm just going to look at the camera for a bit. My pronouns are she, her. My character is Shana's mom. Her pronouns are also she, her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, I also like make game stuff, and I was on like the one-shot episodes about Dream Apart. Yeah, and this, and I'm excited. I like this. This is fun.
So last time, we explored. We've been watching a little bit of the friendship developing between Calvin Weaver and Shana's mom. We're going to let a little time pass from last episode, which is how Invisible Sun, this game I purport to be running, is supposed to play. So get ready, folks, for some strange, real live game action happening here.
Now, I was thinking a long time, like 15, 14 minutes.
Centuries. Gosh, dang it. Excellent. So I have one bit of Invisible Sun news, and then we're going to jump into a little bit of some development mode kind of character stuff we did over the weekend. So Invisible Sun is a game that comes in this enormous black cube. It comes with all these components. It was designed from the ground up to be a game that celebrates the experience of the table with lots of stuff to touch and cards and beautiful art and maps. But you may know that lots of people, for many reasons, don't want to engage as much with a big physical product or tend to game online, or for many reasons tend to prefer their RPGs digitally. So finally, after much work and thought and reconfiguring a lot of the Invisible Sun components, we will be releasing Invisible Sun digitally tomorrow. It should go up tomorrow.
Whoa!
So that's a really big
Wow.
news. Yeah.
That's a lot earlier than I thought it was going up.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So in case you are one of those people who is like, Invisible Sun, pretty cool, I want to read it, but not if it's not digital, you may want to check that out tomorrow. So I'm really excited.
So now, I know a lot of people were talking about, a digital product sort of being a way to test out this game to see if they wanted to invest in it deeper. Is there any crossover between getting the black cube and this digital thing?
Exactly. So when you, a lot of people are interested in the setting, they're interested in some of the details, the cool art, but they're not sure they want to play the game as written, right? I have tons of games I've never played that I just like to look through for inspiration. So the digital version of the Black Cube of Invisible Sun will come with a coupon for a significant chunk off of buying the physical Black Cube or pre-ordering the reprint because, a limited amount of those will exist. So there will be, you basically get a discount to if you know you want it, you'll have a chance to get that Black Cube for cheaper, which is awesome. So I don't want to announce that number because I don't want to make myself wrong tomorrow, whatever the thing says. But it will be a significant chunk. So, yay.
Yay.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my Invisible Sun news. Now, the last time we left Shana's Mon, we've seen her in her cool, kind of wild, piecemeal, neat, like stitched together, cool, really varied jacket, right? That she wears.
Yeah.
But we also went in a little deeper into her character over the weekend, and looked at some of her abilities. Got Calvin Weaver. Advanced pretty significantly in last season, and we sort of made sure that Shana's Mon also had lots of cool things that she upgraded her character with. So, what do you want to tell us about anything cool and new that this fun apostate is either sporting or has an ability that you're excited to show off?
Cool.
Ways we may see her differently when we meet her this week?
So the clothes are mostly going to be the same.
Okay.
They just now have stats.
Whoa, stats.
Crazy stats.
Yeah.
All these sweet little item cards.
What's her AC?
She doesn't have an AC, unfortunately. No. All right. So Shana has a bunch of interesting abilities.
What's your one favorite that you're excited to use?
One favorite. Probably. I think my favorite ability is one of the minor magics.
Cool.
So there are a lot of like little interesting like cantrips and things like that that characters can do and things like that. I think one of the ones that Shana has on her sheet now is called Rapid Read, which lets her just touch a book and read the whole book.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet little ability.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's lots of cool little cantrips that are in these books and in Book M that you grabbed from.
Yeah.
You also taught me how to shuffle the Sooth deck, and you'll all be proud to know that I still can't do it yet, so I will continue to practice.
I'm filled with pride. Because I can't shuffle a regular deck of cards, so...
It's real bad back here. I'm keeping it below the table.
I can shuffle any deck of cards.
Yeah.
Any one you have.
Adira's very powerful.
It's not a pile shuffle. No, it's a hand over hand, like pulling out the center, but I can also riffle it.
Fancy words. All right, so let's say about 4 weeks have passed, unless you think that's too much. I think that is reasonable for what we're doing today.
We're heading into unprecedented territory
I know.
no matter what.
Time passes. So I want to, we may do more development mode over Slack or elsewhere for this time period later if we need to, but I wanted to give you a chance to sort of play out one thing each for something that happened during that development mode time. I know Calvin was maybe spending time with Libra Light, spending time possibly in the crafting galaxies. What do you think? What one thing do you think Calvin has been up to?
So I would actually love to start with the card pull to see what the tone of this thing is going to be.
Let's do it. Well, I've just expertly shuffled.
You couldn't see it, but she did very well.
I did very well. Thank you.
You did better than you give yourself credit for.
And to reward me for that excellent shuffling, incriminating skull.
Ooh.
All right, that's a strong start. We got this is, I believe, secrets. So that's Wayne and Shana's card, but not Calvin's. So we'll see. All right, so incriminating skull has a big raven on it. Has a terrifying skull with like a sword in it and a floating person. So
seems thematically rough.
Meanings: disaster, discovery, evidence, connections, friends, and family. Yeah, so those are some ideas.
Okay, then I think it's kind of the scene that I was thinking of. I think this probably happened like a week and a half into like after the events of this. Calvin has been a little bit more withdrawn and pensive. He's spent, more than one night going out to his little galaxy studio and working there, and he's come back later. And it is a night where he is at home for dinner with Libra Light, and they are sitting across from one another in the dining room. And folks, if you thought Libralite was an eccentric decorator before, the dining room is also very nautically themed.
Oh, buddy.
There are, you know, boat wheels on the wall. There are golden knots like going around the,
Does
the
it
walls
shift
and ceiling.
as though
Does it sway a
just
little bit?
gently?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's this room's version of a lazy Susan.
Oh.
I really
It just sort of slides the dishes
Yeah.
along the table.
Gosh, that's very cute.
I like it. So there, I think a thought form has you know, brought like the meal and whatnot for tonight. And Calvin is just not eating very enthusiastically, and I think it's pretty apparent to Libralite that something is up.
Libralite too is not looking his full and regal self. Just, and maybe it's through worry for you. I'm not sure if Calvin is really picking up on it, as Calvin is so invested in his thoughts. But
Self-absorbed.
yeah. But Libralite looks a little worse for wear too. You know, some of his like fancy regalia and like medallions and things that he tends to wear are just not quite as fashioned as they usually are. The thought form sort of comes in and tries to swap out one of your meals, and Libralite kind of steeples their fingers and leans in and gives you a little tap in front of your plate.
Calvin sort of pops up and looks around, and you know that he's finally back being present. And he just looks at the thought form and goes, "No, I'm probably good."
The thought form gives a little bow and takes the plate back into the kitchen, leaving you two alone. Are there candles on the walls, enchanted little lights, or like lighthouses?
Yeah, ooh, I love the idea that there are like lighthouses and stars on the wall. Like,
Oh my gosh, I want to be
think
here.
day to night, it kind of changes.
Okay, perfect. Is there what's the sound of this room? Or is it just quiet eating?
I think it is mostly quiet eating. Like,
Okay.
I feel like there is a light switch that you can flick that turns on sea sounds, but we pretty much just leave that for like special occasions.
And tonight is no special occasion. In fact, it is somewhat of a somber, tense night. So Libralite extends a hand over toward you and sort of gives a gesture of like
Yeah.
an opening for you to express yourself.
Calvin looks up and he looks down and then looks back up again. I used to hurt people.
Libralite waits.
I went to through a series of misadventures before we went to the opera, before we went to the haunting
Of the opera.
of the opera. It was an operatic haunting. Before we went there, I went to the Undersling, and there was a bar there where people fought each other, and my picture was on the wall. The people there knew me. I'm so different now. How can you be okay with that?
Libralite shifts a page over, and it's kind of a like chalky, moving animation sort of looking thing of you, back in the day in your, at the prow of a ship, rescuing, rats back, in the evacuation of Saturnine, right? Some of these kind of you looking heroic, right? You focusing on some of the positive things you've done. And then it sort of pages through a couple of your moments most recently in the last, few weeks, right? You together maybe holding hands at the haunting, and what are some other little moments that as Libra Light is just reflecting on the complexity of Calvin's being, what are some moments?
I think I think there is a bit of him like recounting us going to the Red and breaking out the prisoners that Daniel McPherson had kept. There's like the moment of us on the swing set together having our heart to heart where he rediscovered their relationship, and then it ends at them in that cafe together for the birth anniversary. And Calvin like tries to nod and tries to be okay with that. I don't understand though. I know some things are the same and some things haven't changed, but really big things have. The person that I used to be took you to the edge of creation. That was a dangerous thing. When the thought of making a world came back to me, it seemed so harmless. There was all this stuff between the suns, bits of unformed universes that are just waiting for someone to come along and make them whole. But in the Red, I was told by an angel that is forbidden. It was risky to do that. I risked your life to take you there. And I might have done good things, sure, with the rats or whatever, but I don't think I'm proud of all of the decisions that I made in the past. And I sit here, and you are so kind, and you are so loving, and I just doubt that I deserve it.
As you're speaking, Libra Lights has all these little tassels and knots all over their sort of outfit. And you can see that anything that sort of resembles kind of a knot or a tie or a loop is getting tighter and tighter the more you speak. And even his vest is sort of seems to be kind of pressing in on him. And at the end of your speech, they push up off of the table and they kind of clasp their hands behind their back in sort of one of their kind of their habits, that old ingrained behavior that they have. And they start pacing anxiously along the side of the room, and you can feel the sway of the room move more and more.
Yes. Oh, it moves with the pacing.
Of course, they're anxious pacing. So a stormier sea is setting in on this room. Libra Light is not answering you right away, but is clearly getting really tense and is giving you the impression of wanting to say something but not being able to. So pace and pace, and almost starts to turn a page and kind of snaps it back shut for a moment.
Is this another one of my secrets?
Gives you a wave of the hand and points to their own chest. They're sort of wringing their hands at this point, and they flip to a part of the book of this beautiful, rich, aged paper book that is their entire head and how they communicate. And they reach to a section of the book that you've never seen them touch before. And they sort of they touch it for a moment, and you can see that there's a little sheen of gold that sort of flashes from it, like maybe illuminated text or something is sort of behind it. And the pressure in their chest is so strong. So they're wringing their hand, and they're clearly telling you it's a secret of theirs.
Listen, you don't have to hide things from me. And this is going to work so much better for both of us if you don't. I realize me being different might scare you. And that's kind of what I'm worried about too. I used to be really okay with who I was, and I had these big goals, and I just chased after them, and I didn't give a thought to anything else. And whatever I did to myself, it changed part of that. But I can tell you this. The person that I've come to know in this time is someone that I care about. If there's something that you're keeping from me, I need to know it.
They flip to that part of the book and they flip it open. You hear a sound in the room. You've been hearing sort of the slow rise of waves, and there's sort of the sound of as though a window had been opened in a ship, right? There's no window in here, but as though sort of a porthole was opened up, and the sound of rushing, stormy wind, suddenly turning on as that is suddenly audible. They flipped the page of their book that you've never seen before, and they start pulling out, expanding forth little carved, like when you cut up little snowflakes and stuff, and they all stretch out. It's pieces of that book have been carved away into strange shapes, and they're really alarming shapes that kind of come out. A couple are sort of agonized-looking faces, and one is an agonized-looking sort of stylized Calvin face. What are some of the other things that come out on this kind of ravaged piece of their book?
So I think that coming out of Libra Light's sort of book head are a number of there's a picture that looks like two hands sort of strained and pressing against each other. As almost, you're not sure if it's two pieces of paper or one piece of paper that's just been sort of pushing against itself and trying to pull itself apart. There's what looks to be possibly like, you think like stylized shattered bones. There is a soft, sort of almost floating like heart that gently lifts out and then is quickly squeezed and crushed and strained.
Absolutely. There's no fleck of gold at the moment. It's all this aged paper. But what you notice is it's not just that the paper has been taken and carved into these forms. It's that significant portions of it are gone.
Yeah.
This paper is missing significant parts of it. And it's just this, it seems to be this whole chunk of their book that's been ravaged. They sort of close on all of that, and they move to, again, a little animation of themselves when you were gone. It shows them sort of going to a changery and having someone and other strange Vizsla excising pieces of their life with you from before, so they don't remember certain aspects of your life. They put a hand up really quick, as you start to sort of the horror of it dawns on you, and they say, they sort of express that it wasn't something they were willing to do. It was kind of something imposed upon them. So it was them, sitting down in a changery. But as they sort of try to tell you why this happened, they show a picture of someone you've seen before on the stage of the haunting from behind. It's a beautiful woman, someone you've since pieced together from talking to Libra Light that this is the Loom. This is one of the enforcers of the Weavers. Something having to do with the Loom caused them to excise some of their own memories of you. So it's not even that you're a different person, it's that they don't fully remember the person you were before.
I don't understand. They made you go to a changery? People are supposed to do that willingly. You're not supposed to make someone do that to themselves.
They seem to have conflicting feelings about it, right? It's hard to say back then how much of it was agreed to. It's something gone. It's so hard to say. They look agonized.
Calvin stands up, and you see in him standing up that posture that we saw on the page earlier, of the person standing tall and proud on the head of that ship. He has his hand in his pocket, clutching his rat coin, tightly shaking around it. He looks at these mutilated pages that are part of the life of the person that he loves. And he looks at this picture of this woman, the loom. And there are flashes in his mind, imaginary flashes, probably not real things, of a changery, of someone being made to change a part of themselves to satisfy someone else. And he thinks back on the experience that he just had in the justice system of this world. And part of his mission, part of his desire becomes clearer. One of the reasons that he must have wanted to create his own son is there's something wrong with this place. There's a silence between him and Libralite as Calvin looks over this. The anger that's inside him is very clear. And although there's no magic that Calvin is consciously activating, that fire that was around him, like just a little bit, you can't hear it over the sound of the storm, but it's crackling just beneath.
Libralite reaches out for your hand and has one last thing to sort of get off their chest. They flip back again to the ravaged pages, something clearly painful for them to even face. And they point to a specific spot, a hole like a sphere had been sort of cut out of a section of the book, right? Like a little secret hiding place. Where it was all kind of, now you can even see almost unwoven, right? There's aspects of it that are, the way the pieces are pulled apart, it's as though threads have been pulled out. But this is a whole excised chunk. Libralite points to that space and is fearfully, is pointing to it worried. They sort of flip to other pages and express to you, I want to know what was there. Everything else might, is a loss, but something important was taken from us. And if you get all fiery, gestures to you, all your, sort of shows some animation of you when the sort of storm takes you, we may never find it. So don't immediately confront the loom is what Libralite is telling you, because we may never find out. So
Calvin, take this moment while Libralite is trying to convey this very important message to him.
Oh no.
He's got his hand on the coin, and he can feel the fire around him. He can feel the storm inside him, and there is part of him that just wants to, in a magical burst, move right out the door and hunt down everything in the city until he's egg-sized every awful part of it. And then, flashing in front of his eyes is that clock, the forbidden door, the one that he did not open before because he knew, and indeed the person showing him knew, that he wasn't ready to see it. That stops him. There is something important that he did, even if he wasn't proud of all of the things that he did in his old life, even if he wasn't proud of the person who did those things, they were doing something important. And he wasn't the only one who suffered for it. Libralite suffered for it too. Calvin turns to his husband and takes his hand out of his pocket, off of the rat coin, and places it on Libralite's shoulder. And I think he sees how disheveled and stressed his husband looks, because he is finally
The worst
snapped
you've
out
ever seen.
of all of this.
Yeah.
He takes it in. I will not let anyone do anything like that to you ever again as long as I live.
Libra Light nods and flips over some of the pages of that ravaged section. And of course, what card does Darcy pull next?
Sorcery!
On the back of those pages have been gilded over, right? So when you flip the ravaged section sort of over, it's this beautiful gold like leaf that's been laid over that hard section, and it has patterns and designs related to you as you are now, right? So what do we see? We see birds, and we see paths of suns as you've worn them, right? Your the vest that you wear with the path of suns, it's got that sort of embossed in it. Whatever you may have lost, you've also built something together here and now. And so they are...
I'm going to find what we've lost. I will. But I'm not going to risk anything else. That's not who I am. Not anymore.
I think we close on them clasping hands, having borne their souls together. All right. Okay. Golden frickin' ship.
Yeah, Calvin's personal card.
Monster. Monty.
Yeah.
I consider this a personal attack, Monty. How dare you do this to me? Okay, so 4 weeks pass. It's a good time, except that it's not. But is there anything else like major that you get up to? So that's about a week and a half in. As we've been, we can backfill it too.
Yeah, I think let's backfill.
Cool.
So
let us flip over to Shana. So I think if you're up for it, I would also like to draw a card and sort of get a little tone, because I think there's several things we could explore here. I love this card. Revealing Knife. It's a great card. It's a great Shana card. So what we have there is a cool, weird, like building and some like a sort of pillar falling off of it and a tree growing from that pillar. This is of the Visions family, which was Kitty Hart's old card. Revealing Knife.
Taking a picture of the golden ship.
Yeah.
You should send that to me. I'm gonna have words with Monty about this game that's magic. Okay, the Revealing Knife's meanings are revelation, discovery, finesse. Some ideas are that it's an indication that there are secrets to be discovered, or revelations to be had, or something requiring finesse. The quote is, "The blade carves away all that obscures, leaving truth exposed for all to see." And when I hear blades, I have to say, I think there's some pretty great blades owned by Shana's mom over there. So this feels very Shana.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Do you have anything specific of that 4-week period that you wanted to dive into? I have one NPC who I thought might try to contact you if you didn't have something.
Yeah, possibly. I could do sort of like a little bit, sort of like a bit more of sort of like day in the life of Shana.
Yeah.
And then that NPC can reach out.
That would be great. Cool.
So
how do we start?
Yeah, we start with Shana waking up.
Okay.
Shana wakes up from bed. She's pretty groggy, sort of fumbles around at like a bedside table that's empty for sort of nothing, sort of remembers and like almost reminds herself, casts a quick little spell, casts a few more spells as she gets dressed, sort of establishing a lot of her general sort of abilities, such as her plentiful pockets and things
Plentiful pockets.
Yeah.
Yes, so good.
Shana grabs a dirty pair of glasses from inside a drawer and puts them into one of her pockets. She grabs her like curved knife and puts that into another pocket, and heads out into the day to go cause a little bit of a ruckus. Maybe look at the void some. Have a good Shana day.
Okay, excellent.
Get into the appropriate amount of trouble.
Excellent. Do people? So your house moves around, of course.
Yeah.
Unstuccoed in time, or in space, is it? I forget.
Unstuccoed in.
They're related.
Just unstuccoed.
They're
Yeah.
unstuccoed.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do people? Who do we pass as on your way to go get up to business? Do people recognize you? Are you sort of obscuring yourself in any way?
No. Shana doesn't generally obscure much of like herself. She's generally pretty happy to walk around, no hat, just hair and eyes, and staring at people and sort of smiling in that like off-putting way where when you're walking down the street and you see someone smile and you're like, oh, they're being nice to me, but also why are they smiling at me? Like what do I have that they want?
Oh God.
So Shana's that person walking around. That leads to some people to give her a wide berth. That also leads to other people to sort of return the smile, possibly like clap her on the back and be like, oh, you want to come drink some howling mead?
Excellent. So as you're going about your business, getting ready for the day's activities, a thought form comes up. They look kind of like a porcelain-looking caricature of a human. They look like a kind of like a big doll. They're a little transparent. This is someone's conjured thought form thing, and they've got like a hat, like kind of fedora-looking thing that's a little off to the side. They are in vaguely masculine clothing with like vests and things, but it's the sort of ambiguously gendered and sort of a combination. They pull out of they sort of approach you and try to flag you down. Are you paying them any mind or?
Shana just sort of motions for them to walk along with her.
Okay, you're still getting up to business.
Yeah, I gotta go buy some fruit.
The thought form picks up its pace a little bit as it pulls out of a little pocket square a little like origami. What kind of creature is it?
Octopus.
Octopus. Read that, you jerk.
I can't be held responsible for this. Invisible Sun is magic.
Pulls out a little origami octopus. That is, of course, moving and enchanted, and it's clearly some kind of little note. And so it hands it to you. It is specifically a greater blue ringed octopus for all of you watching at home to see this magic. And it's clearly got, to Shana's Mon written inside. It sort of gives you a tap of the fedora and starts striding off and starts walking up invisible steps into the distance.
Shana gives it a quick sort of little salute, looks at the octopus. It's still sort of moving around. It says, to Shana.
It's starting to try to grab onto one of your fingers and kind of sucker on it.
And then she unfurls the letter.
Excellent. You still see the occasional little origami sucker sort of twitching. What you find is a letter from an old friend. This is from Apollo. This is an Elderbryn that you would know who has worked with you at the Changeries long ago.
Yes.
It's been a while since you've talked, I believe. Apollo, it gives you a short message saying, I would love if you would stop by. There's a bubbly beverage with your name on it. Please, let's catch up. And what does Apollo include in the letter that sort of gives you an idea that something's amiss or it's more urgent than it's letting on?
Apollo would probably say, make just some like gross detail wrong. Like, I'm really excited to like talk to you about your crab collection.
Okay,
like something like that.
Excellent. I'm eager to be caught up with the trials of your current crab collection. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So you see that phrase and you know something's up with Apollo.
Yeah. So Shana takes the note, sort of folds it back up into a shittier octopus.
A lesser blue-ringed octopus.
Pats it on the head, puts it in a pocket.
It gives you, if a greater blue-ringed octopus origami could scowl at you, it gives you a mean scowl.
It gives you the tentacle.
You see a little bit of ink sort of squirt out of one of its mantles. Yep. Huff.
Yeah.
We put it in a pocket, and yeah.
Yeah. So Shana heads off. Instead of like talking to the fruit vendor that she was going to go talk to, she just grabs some fruit, throws some orbs down, and just leaves.
All right. You're striding through town. It takes you a while to get to this. And do you go meet him at the change rate, or does he tend to live at, like, do you go to his house? Is there a meeting spot?
Probably his house.
Okay, cool. So you're this is actually going to be in Fartown then, but it's a kind of far neighborhood. So you're walking through. What was the last interaction you had with Apollo as you're sort of reflecting on that walk over?
Shana probably hasn't really spoken with Apollo months since she got like physically right back from Shadow.
Okay.
And went and seeked him out pretty quickly. Shana sort of remembers like her like trepidation and like anxiety and fear, but also just how like ultimately happy and fulfilling and positive she felt afterwards.
Good. Excellent. Was this related at all to like a new identity after coming back from Shadow? Like how obscured? This is something I don't know about Shana, right? Because Shana went and spent some time in Shadow, in not the usual way.
Yes.
Then Shana came back from Shadow, as you do, visited Apollo at the Changery pretty much shortly after. But like, how much are you living a new identity, or are you like, are you worried people will know that you're back from Shadow when you shouldn't be, or are you just trusting the ineffectiveness of Saturnine to do its work for you?
Shana is mostly trusting the ineffectiveness of Saturnine and the
fact that so far.
and the fact that she's been arrested by the Thaw multiple times and they haven't figured that bit out. When she just put her face back to the way that it was.
Right. Great. Okay.
It's not like she like changed her face. She just put it back from the way that it had been at Shadow.
Cool. All right. So my new card is Misunderstood Beast.
We love that beast.
We do love that beast. And what a great thing to come upon as you visit this Elder Bryn's house. So Misunderstood Beast, for those of you who haven't been following along, its meanings are mistakes, gentleness, friendship, danger, betrayal. Something perceived as a threat is no threat at all. There's many complexities to this one, but I think today it just means that you come upon this this house at the end of a little row of like adorable little cottages in this kind of distant neighborhood of beautiful fall and autumn Saturnine. What's this neighborhood kind of look like? So there's some cottages. What's special about it?
I think this neighborhood is very colorful.
Yes.
You know, we're sort of dealing with ideas of gentrification here. So I think there is that sort of tradition of like bright, colorful houses that doesn't look like it fits in with a neat suburban sort of sterile environment. Right. So it's not the wild chaos that Shana's neighborhood is, but it looks like a neighborhood that would be next to that neighborhood.
Awesome. Yep. So it's just one kind of step removed. It's a different take on that, and you see that there's a sort of a natural stone, what looks like kind of a little cave built out of boulders, kind of, at the end of this little cul-de-sac, standing out a bit from these otherwise more appropriate cottage-looking, colorful houses. Yeah. And this is, you see that there's a number of little weird tendril things sort of extending out of it. You know that these to be, this is your old pal Apollo. So this is, that little cave entrance with little like bubbles, almost like, you know, blowing bubbles. Bubbles are sort of emerging from it, is where he lives. So do you just walk up? Is there some secret back entrance?
Shana sort of walks up, pauses, thinks a moment, and then decides to just walk through the door. She figures that if there's anything that goes too wrong, she has a number of ways to get out of trouble.
Excellent. So you stride in this really clearly magically darkened entryway to the cave, and as you step past that barrier, sort of an inky blackness that takes a moment to sort of fade away, and almost like it's a piece of food dye sort of dissipating and becoming less concentrated around you. A really warm environment is inside, full of very beautiful little baubles, all sorts of things hanging from the ceiling, and it's kind of hobbit hole almost, very cozy. There's a little fire going.
Pots and pans and gems.
So many things. A lovely little garden, and then you see at the back wall one big eye open that takes up the entire part of that wall.
What?
So this whole, that's sort of a little room with the enormous eye of some just incredibly gigantic cephalopod that makes up the latter half of this, the rest of the enclosure really. It sort of squints in pleasure, and you can see a number of little tendrils and tentacles coming out. And are you a handshaker? Are you a hugger with this friend? Do you just wave?
Shana definitely is a hugger with this person.
This person's a big hugger.
Yeah.
Just loves it. And so you have several tendrils.
Yeah.
Very, very.
It's been too long.
Apollo.
Like a bunch of ropes just encircling you entirely.
Just
oh my God.
thrilled, and just the big eye, right?
Just a big cuddle rope.
Yep. So the eye is glittering with joy as this thing speaks out in kind of a warbly, as though it's sounding kind of, a little bit through water, and kind of multiple registers, almost as though it's several voices speaking at once. But it gleefully says, Shana, it's so good to see you. Thank you for visiting me here. Please have a seat. And he pulls out some ancient encrusted throne full of gems, stolen from God knows where.
Ooh, this is a new one.
I'm so glad you noticed. I've been trying to keep the place up, you know.
Of course. Shana sits excitedly in the chair. I got your letter. Do you want to start with the crab collection, or should we talk about that later?
Sufficiently warded to not have to talk about it at all, my friend.
Good, of course. Then what the fuck?
I wouldn't contact you if it weren't important.
Of course not.
It's a simple matter, I'm afraid, of... you can see sort of consternation happening in all the tendrils. Your comings and goings have been noticed a bit more than I'd have expected.
Interesting.
The thaw and the guardsmen catching on to this or that or the other. Normally, I wouldn't worry about one such as yourself. You're perfectly competent. They're perfectly incompetent. It's a lovely world we live in.
Yes.
Gestures to some beautiful sigil, from the Marquis district, functionally the royal district of Saturnine, just as though you'd taken the Trump sign off of Trump Tower, just stolen it, right? Got some sort of defaced, beautiful sigil. Very proud of it. But Apollo says, however, it's not only that they've been following your comings and goings from the thaw and so on, it's that I've noticed them digging through records at the changery. This suggests a more active interest than I'd have expected them to take. And particularly, there seems to be a singular figure who keeps coming in and sniffing around where they don't belong. I haven't been able to see their face. They seem to be some humanoid, I assume Vizsla, although assumptions can get us into dangerous places.
Very much so.
They're a bit tall, but certainly no thaw, or at least no apparent thaw. Can you think of anyone who might be looking out to come find you?
Not in particular. There are still many things I don't remember from before Shadow.
It's a traumatic time.
Yes.
Well, your safety is important to me. What can if there's anything I can do to help? I thought knowing that someone is on your tail is most important.
So, do you think it's an inevitability before they find?
This person is extremely, extremely motivated to have gotten as far as they did in the Changeries records.
They're probably trying to erase me.
What do I need to do to safeguard that? If there's anything I can do on the Changeries end, you only have to ask.
Yes. I don't want to get a new face. I quite like this face.
It's a great face. I'm quite proud of it,
Yes, you've done good work with my face. That's why I came to you in the first place.
Well, we needn't have an answer today.
Yeah.
It's most important that I get that message to you, and I will send along. Reginald points to the thought form, the porcelain mask, sort of inks,
Ooh, yeah.
inks into existence, and then inks back out.
Kind of the way octopuses change color.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yep. Moves back into some beautiful tapestry that it was appearing to be. I'll send along Reginald should there be any updates.
I should maybe pay a visit to my old house.
As dangerous as that might be, it might be worth it if there's... They will certainly be looking there.
Yeah. Very true. But if it's dangerous for me, it's dangerous for them as well.
I think if I were you, I wouldn't wait too much longer. Driver.
Interesting.
I don't think I have to look up that one at all. It's a car. Get on the road, Shana. Have a road trip, guys.
Well, I think I know somebody who might be able to help me.
You won't want to do this one alone, certainly.
Very true. Well, it's always, of course, lovely to see you again.
Hopefully under better circumstances next time.
Of course.
Apollo is as you're sort of going through the formalities of leaving, you're familiar with this process. They're trying to give you all manner of like bits and baubles and like a fizzy beverage that they got from somewhere. Just all these.
And Shana politely declines everything.
It's a bit of a process.
Yeah, and as Shana reaches the door, Shana goes, "I would be dead without you."
The eye closes in sort of emotion.
There's no way I will ever accept payment from you.
You can see colors shifting across the octopus's sort of skin, just waves of emotion and stripes of patterns, sort of unspoken waves of affection and emotion and connection to you.
Yeah. Shana gives a quick little peck to one of the tentacles as she heads back into the magically darkened door.
Excellent. And you fade into, the sound fades out. It becomes that pressure feeling you have in your ears when you're deep underwater, that sort of artificial dampening of sound. And then you fade back into the brightly lit street full of bright, cute houses and the sort of slightly overcast autumn day as leaves are falling down.
Shana sort of nods to herself, sort of tries to pop out her ears a little bit. All right. Time to get him.
Yeah. So I think we are going to pick up with regular action mode after this. So we can, maybe we should talk about some bits. Maybe we'll take a 5-minute break, tell you about the bits, and launch into maybe going to Shana's house.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let's talk about some bits. If octopus were to wear pants, what would it look like? Think about that.
Discuss.
Because the mouth is in there, so
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's a difficult process to think about
Oh,
If an
man.
octopus wore pants, would they wear them like this?
Like this?
Or like
Or
this?
like this?
You guys, you're talking to a developmental biologist, an evolutionary developmental biologist. These are real questions I ask. Do you want to know what octopus arms are? They're extensions of the body wall.
Oh.
They have a dorsal and ventral. Anyway, we can talk about this at a different time, but I have big opinions.
I think thigh-high socks is probably the way
Yes.
to
It's
go
a
on
strong
that.
answer. Yeah.
Very good.
Should we take our 5-minute break so we can put the bits up on
Yes,
the overlay,
I
maybe?
think
Yes.
so.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, folks. That was some emotional development mode sessions. And we're going to get to action mode next and drive our way in. All right, let's take 5.
Be back
See you soon. Welcome back, everyone, to our super joyful, peppy episode of A Woman with Hollow Eyes.
Nothing but smiles and cheers.
Yeah.
So thank you all for, enjoying that beautiful development mode session with the two of you. That was really lovely.
Yeah.
We're going into full-on action mode now, so there's going to be more ways for you to influence the story. So we will be having these. This is by bits, which helps support the channel and the one-shot and all the great things they do, which is awesome. So for
And buy octopus's pants.
and high stockings,
Nice talking.
cat garters.
Yeah,
Yes,
garters for octopuses.
garters.
Please give me octopus couture. Please give me so many lingerie pictures of octopi.
It is a truly noble cause where your money goes.
Yep, I am not going to say anything further. Cool. So as we get into the unsurprisingly dangerous business of getting back to Shana's original home, you will be able to influence the story by, of course, participating and being jovial and wonderful in chat as you have been. For the record, I do have a lot of the backer contribution data right now that I can pull from, which is fabulous. So Apollo was actually Landon Solemn Lyrian's contribution. I know that they're in chat right now, so but I meant to call that out on stream because that was just such a great NPC to use, so thank you. Other ways you can influence it tonight is for 200 bits, you can give a free bene to one of the two players. So if you do that, let us know who to give it to. This gives them a +1 on any roll. It won't count against their limit if they have one, which they do. So 200 for a free bene. 300 bits for pulling a new Sooth deck card, which, can, as you know, can be very powerful and influence the story in both mechanical ways and sort of fluffy, more narrative ways. For 500 bits, you can give a sortilege die, which is pretty powerful, to one of these two PCs. So again, tell us who to give it to. This lets them roll an extra die on any important roll, giving them a whole added chance of success, which might be really important when things are magical, as you need multiple successes against, say, picking a magical lock. And finally, since we are about to go into a pretty dangerous district that you'll know more about momentarily, there is what we're calling encounter flux. So I'll let you know when those are in play momentarily, but for 1,000 bits, we'll start pulling off of the flux table that backers contributed. So last season, those got pretty buck wild.
Spoon Wayne.
Flux.
One flux.
The living book person was kind of due to a flux, I think. Goodness. So
The living brick person that's not Libra light.
correct. Other tiny living book person who's so charming. The diary. And goodness, yeah, all the words started disappearing off the books in a library. Yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah, fluxes did a lot of real damage.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're like this season.
Yep. So thank you all so much. And I think we should get rolling in. Okay, cool. We already got 200 bits from Names Equipped. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Get those
that
octopodes
Benny.
some clothes. Would you like a Benny token, my friend?
Yes.
You
yes.
can
Oh, they're
pull it
right
on
here.
there. We have
Wow.
official tokens. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So we are going to start up as you two sort of get together, and you're going to reach out to your friend for.
Yeah, so at the end of the last session, Shana penned a letter to Calvin, letting him know that she thought she had a job that would involve not killing people, and sent it over his way. by virtue of his short spurred.
Excellent.
I like those shorts.
So,
Well, you got a bird, so,
yeah, so
take what you can get.
I like the idea that it's like a very colorful parakeet. That's like, and it's very bouncy and happy. So like, even though Calvin likes the shorts, he also likes the bird.
Yeah, it's like a little fun sort of pet. Like you feed it every once in a while. Like, oh, my shorts.
No.
So cute.
Does it like stay
Riches.
with one of you until it goes back? What's the
think
dynamic of this short bird?
I think
Short
this
parakeet.
short bird, like it's become more of a pet bird because Libralite loves parakeets, of course,
Oh, of course
obviously.
he
Being
does.
a nautically minded person.
Cute.
Loves parrots and parakeets, so it's just like this bird that sometimes hangs out at their house, and like all of the birds in their life, has mysterious whims and agenda of its own.
Yeah.
That Calvin and Libralite don't know this. It's sometimes violent towards things, like many of the other objects in their home that have sprung to life and gone out to attack people and things.
Yep, get up to business.
Regular Vistlay things.
So the card I'm drawing as we start this action mode is Unknowable Truth. Its meanings are truth, searching, and futility. And that, buddy, over there is a secret. So we're going to be enhancing our friend Shana, which is auspicious. Unknowable truth, that's just an everyday truth in the life of Visley to go pursue. Cool.
So,
So you send that letter.
yeah, Shana would say to meet her over.
Can I recommend a place?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not saying that I have a menu for it or anything, but I do.
Yes. Shana will recommend that they meet at the Magnificent Moth.
The magniloquent moth.
Magniloquent. Oh, I can read words.
It's very
It is
fancy.
11 Laceway in the Marquis Quarter of Saturnine, the fancy royal district.
Yep. It's not officially royal, but it looks awfully royally.
Yes.
So. Yep.
Calvin,
So it's like, maybe early morning when this arrives.
yeah, Calvin had to walk. He, still does not want to take orbs. I kind of like the idea that Libralite has increasing insistence that Calvin not walk around without any money whatsoever.
Right.
Has like arranged a bowl of orbs. Like mints that Calvin should take with him on his way. But Calvin has been very insistent in not taking that. He feels weird about it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Libralite's maybe sewn some emergency orbs into some of your clothing.
Yes, of
he
course.
has. Of course he has, especially because he maintains our fabulous closet.
Right, and like not crystal orbs, like gem orbs, like the big denomination.
Yeah.
Like $100 bill,
Calvin
like stuffed into random
does
places.
not know that he has these on him.
No.
So instead of taking like any public transportation on the way over here, he did it on his own. He
Okay,
walked.
wow.
He walked because he didn't want to tire himself out using any magic to do it. I don't know how far this district would be from his home district.
This is a mile. It's far, buddy. It might take all day.
Well, this is the morning, so
Yeah, so we
Calvin
might-
started early.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
so
okay.
like as soon as you got the letter, like last night or something, trying to look at the big map, because it's like mile. It's like maybe 5 miles at least, probably more.
Oofa doofa.
And that's
Yeah.
5 miles across Saturnine, where all sorts of things can happen.
Yeah, you got your sound holes you got to avoid. You got your. I should pull out the big
What
map.
disaster that I encounter on this walk could possibly be worse than Calvin Weaver? I submit nothing.
You see disasters shirking as Calvin Weaver walks back, deciding not to go off until later. Oh God. Okay, so here's the Marquis district, and Fartown is like not even really part of the rest of Saturnine.
It's hard to tell where Fartown might be.
I think it's because it's off. They've kind of portioned you off, but there is a way to walk over. I would say it takes you like it took you 4 hours to get there, like
Yeah.
a long time.
Calvin is regretting some choices, but like by the time he really, really started to regret it, he was too far out.
Yeah. So it's, it's early morning, with the gentle light of the indigo sun shining over Saturnine. As you're walking past, you're walking through all these different districts. Are you like talking to yourself? How do you bide the time? Just let me know. Are you like, what are you doing?
So, man, Calvin used to listen to podcasts, and I don't think he has.
Your face, Darcy.
Sorry.
I mean, obviously he did.
James.
The lovely shows on the One Shot Network.
So in lieu of that.
In lieu of that, I mean, he's doing the next closest thing, and I think he is talking to Victoria's diary.
Oh, yeah.
Like sitting on his shoulder.
Oh.
And very much like a podcast.
Yeah.
Like a diary and a podcast are not that different, actually.
Right.
So I think he's been saving it. Like he hasn't binged the whole thing because, he wants to get some new content every now and then. So he's like getting different sections.
Yeah, cool. So it's on the section of, let's see. It's about that time that Vittoria met Gregory Thane, a well-to-do Vance known for his heroic acts during the war, his continued efforts, you can't make this up, my friends, to fight against the hate cysts that plague the ruined lands.
What is a hate cyst?
Gregory is the ideal hero to all that see him. All visibly swoon over him. Just this like epic, Merlin-esque character. However, Vittoria knows that he has secrets that she's writing about in her diary. But just as you're really getting to the good part, you kind of, so that's from JP Rhinefleisch, actually, again, which is great. Thank you for that, NPC. So just as you're getting to like the juicy bit of, and then what's his name? Gregory revealed the secrets of his plot. You've arrived at the magniloquent moth in the beautiful Marquis district. You've been passing just like, everything seems to have like a sheen of like glistening and glittering and just, where so much of Saturnine really has been kind of weirdly been shelled out or abandoned from the war. You passed a lot of quiet streets in your long walk getting here. This is, almost like financial district-y, shiny, tall, weird floating buildings. There's lots of kind of high-end important personages with big, like cursive signs in front of their doors. Yeah. Palaces, basically, certain ones floating. A number of like beautiful, shiny carriages go by.
Probably a lot of like ornate.
Yeah, Xanort's there.
Yeah, inort and ornate. Ornate, like mystical writing floating in front of a lot of the signs, almost sort of like a magical neon. As you walk along the cobble steps of the street, they glow in the order of the suns as you step on them, on the stones.
Beautiful.
Beneath everyone's feet, there's just like a pleasant sort of wafting smell of rosemary everywhere you look.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Ugh, gross. Sophie, this is the sort of thing that I was telling you about. In my world, one of those true crime podcasts would happen in one of these places, probably.
Your world sounds awful.
No, this is bad too. What is a hate cyst? They sound miserable.
Sophie kind of wrings her pages a little bit, looks uncomfortable, and says,
"It's not a spoiler, is it?"
You'd better wait till the end. And she points out, ooh, the magniloquent moth. I've heard so much about this. Well, I mean, I contain so much information about it. You'll definitely want to try. Can I see that? Mm-hmm. Vittoria's very favorite was the red sun beef short rib. And she just sort of sighs.
That's so like Vittoria. It's like a brimming with masculinity, that choice. Calvin's like looking on the menu on the outside.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I could deal with spaghetti and meatballs.
And how many, do they even list a price, or is this place too fancy to list a price?
Some of them do, but some of them are market price.
Yeah. Which could be anything in
I mean, that's 10. I feel like I could do 10 orbs. That's not a big deal.
So you're outside there, it's morning, and one thing you have been noticing as you've been walking past is there are these really beautiful golden armored guards that seem to be kind of patrolling around here. They're not the Thaw, but they seem to be Vizsla or human or Zealots or who knows. But in this like just shiny, glistening, perfect golden armor that's really ornate, and they note you when they pass, but they're not the looming Thaw that sort of come over and are strange.
Yeah, they might even give you like a little bit of a nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calvin gives him a polite nod back.
Yeah. What are you wearing, Calvin?
I mean, Calvin's in his business suit.
Okay.
It is the tweed jacket with tails.
Yes.
The path of suns on his chest. The invisible button on one. And he's ready for business. He's got Sophie on his shoulder. And he's got I guess he doesn't know that he has a hand on him. That's a thing, apparently. That's somewhere in this jacket, probably. And he's...
All Vizsla have hands on them. It's a thing.
Except for apostates.
Yes,
of course.
true.
You got your Vatula Kada.
Yeah, sweet little pokey metal and wood and glass thing.
It's great.
He flips the rat coin in the air, catches it, and puts it in his pocket before he goes in.
Excellent. I have a mental image of Sophie, but I wanted to see if it scanned with the rest of you. So
Please.
She's like a diary, right? But I've always imagined her as kind of like a little fey, like transparent, like kind of feminine creature, sort of existing with a book body. So she can kind of like loom over you and try to read as you're reading. Just kind of very like Tinkerbell almost looking.
I like the idea of her being a spirit that sort of grows out of the back of the spine of the book.
Right.
I sort of imagine it like she is animated and the rest of the world is filmed.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness, what's that?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you mean Space Jam. We're looking for cinema classics here. Like Space Jam.
Like Space
Jam 2 coming soon.
I do love Space Jam. Okay.
We are not sponsored by Space Jam.
So yes, she's.
I think Bill Murray is eating over there. This place is wild.
Oh my God. So Sophie's on your shoulder. And where are you sitting inside already?
Yeah, Shana's sitting down at a table for two. Shana appears to have rearranged her rainbow clothes into what almost sort of look like a t-shirt and jeans.
Whoa.
Of this like interesting rainbow fabric. There are still a number of like pockets, but they're a lot like sort of slimmer and sleeker along her body. Like she's sort of prepared to not have a lot of things flapping off of her.
A little more streamlined.
Yeah.
Ooh, exciting. Are you sitting at like a table outside, inside?
Shana's probably sitting at a table inside, sort of looking towards the door, and has been just sort of sitting with her chin in her hands, looking at Calvin look at the menu.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For how many baskets of bread are there on the table already? You might have been waiting a long time.
Yeah. At the table, you would see a basket of bread that's stacked on top of 2 or 3 empty baskets.
Yep.
Also, there's an entirely cleaned off plate with like a silverware and a napkin sort of pushed off to one side. There appears to be a coffee cup.
Yep.
There appears to be an empty wine glass. There appears to be a teacup. And also, there's a fresh plate in front of Shana. Not filled with food, but ready for another meal, it looks like.
Nice. This is inside. This is just inside, like through the window
Yeah,
you're
just
seeing.
inside. Yeah, yeah. If Calvin just sort of turned his head a little bit to the left, that's where Shana would be.
So Calvin's staring at that menu. Sophie immediately notices Shana and is trying to gently get your attention, like clearing her throat.
Oh, Shana, I am so sorry.
Shana sort of motions to the door.
Calvin like tries to walk closer.
Calvin hits glass.
Okay,
It's so clean that it was hard to see the glass there.
I'll go around. I'll go around.
As you're going around, you notice that there's, it's like midday now. Do we say? You started really early, but it's a bit into the morning now. There's kind of little overhangs and little like umbrellas, because this is not far town, so the sun is actually quite bright, quite bearing down on you, glistening off all that gold armor and those shiny cobblestones, and playing with the light of the suns off the cobblestones. And so you're passing a bunch of people meeting at these little tables, which have just the most richly and diversely appointed outfits that have clearly used extensively the changeries. Some even seem to be, changing a little bit as they go. And you definitely notice that this is a place, this magniloquent moth has elements of the gold sun about it. This is a place where change is really embraced, where you notice that the menu, when you're watching it, one of the items sort of fell off the menu and a new item sort of went up in its place. This is constant change and newness and exciting. So you definitely feel infused by the gold sun here, but you're passing all these really, really fancy people having their lunches and practicing little glyphs to each other, maybe sort of having a quiet romantic corner, a romantic brunch. But you finally get to the big, beautiful door, lots of beautiful glass panes and gold sort of filigree on it. The magniloquent moth, it's sort of got the image of a moth surrounding the door, as though you were going to open it up from its abdomen.
Cool. Calvin walks to open it up and stride right in.
As you reach out to touch it, it is already fluttering away from you, beckoning you inside.
Ooh, I like that.
Excellent. There's a person waiting by a stand, ready to seat you, but you, of course, are already going to visit someone. So you head over to Shana, who's got 3 baskets of bread on the table and is waiting impatiently, patiently? Patient, okay.
Yeah.
The picture of calm. Mm-hmm. Great.
Shana, I am so sorry.
Apology accepted, but unnecessary at this point. Just sit down.
He pulls out a chair and sits down.
Let's eat some food and talk.
Great. That sounds good. I am prepared to do whatever today.
Do you have money?
Calvin looks so defeated because he knows that
Sophie just shakes her head.
he after just being in this place, he knows the money that he thinks he has on him is not enough. And he also knows that Shana does not have money, and that Shana knows that Calvin does not have money. So he is being forced into some kind of dine and dash shenanigan right now.
Oh my God.
Shana, while I respect your anarchism, I have to protest.
Protest what?
We didn't have to eat here. No, I don't have money.
Well, I have money and can pay, but I don't know if I can pay for you.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm not just going to come here without money. If I dine and dash, then we have the people, we have the guard on our trail already beforehand, before we're even stealing anything really that we want to steal. I don't want to steal a menu, like a meal first.
I like the idea that somebody walking by the table hears.
Oh, yeah.
And James is my word, steal? No, thank you.
It's a 2-headed person, so they're scoffing together at you. In the Marquis district. Excellent.
Crime, how very droll. He's like, it does. I had some toast when I left this morning, so I'll be fine. Is there a fast food joint? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know why. I don't know why I asked
I
that
think it might
question.
move a little too quickly for you.
Oh, too fast.
I don't want to imagine what that means because it's going to horrify me. Let's get down to business.
Yes, of course. So, we're going to steal some things from my old house.
It's your house. Why don't we just go in and...
Well, it's sort of quarantined and sort of an active crime scene. And
Active crime scene?
yeah, there are crimes being committed there constantly. Active crime.
I want to talk to your landlord about that.
Well, I live somewhere else now.
Okay, well, sure. I mean, it sounds like a thing that I can do. If
Sure.
it's your place, it's not a...
The nature of these crimes is that they are crimes against sanity and humanity and decency. Are you prepared for that?
Like my old landlord.
Sure. Was your old landlord a hate cyst?
I just learned that word.
Yes.
Well, no, I didn't actually learn that word. It's a spoiler. Don't tell me.
Sophie says, please tell him.
I think she's mouthing the words.
Well, sort of surrounding my house is, and sort of within the house, and sort of the house itself, is a hate cyst. You know the war, right?
Yeah.
You know how nobody really talks about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the hate cyst are the things left over from the people who were fought against in the war. Many people call them the enemy.
Oh, well, I mean, the war was a long time ago. Why hasn't we just cleared that up?
Well, it's pretty persistent.
Calvin gets an enhancement die courtesy of The Secret Cellar, a fantastic podcast that you should listen to for all sorts of reasons. They are fabulous. This is in the black cube. I won't tell you what it does, but we're going to use it to mark your big, cool sortilege die right now. Because I don't have D10s handy, and it's big, and you'll remember it.
Yep, there ain't no way we're going to forget that.
You can't spell hate cyst without heist.
Yes. Heist cyst.
God, yes. Cool. So you're explaining hate cyst.
So, some of them take some different sort of forms. I don't know what the one around my house looks like now. It's tried to kill me a few times. Hasn't taken.
Is it like a person?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's like spewing forth small, like, monsters to kill you. Sometimes it's just a sort of red malaise about it.
Ooh. Well,
Lots of killing people. Lots of people killing other people. But we won't do any killing.
Sure. I mean, well, I fought in the war, so I'm probably on some level
Yeah.
kind of equipped to deal with this.
Sure, I did too. So
Great.
I'm sure we'll be fine.
Okay, sure.
You see a number of those golden armored guards sort of taking a firm stroll past the window in front of you, sort of pausing to look in, giving you that nod and going along their way.
People are very weirdly friendly here.
Yes, welcome to the Marquee District. That's the guard. Yes.
The pristine guard, the pristine defenders.
I can't believe you used to live here.
Well, I used to be a member of the Pristine Defenders, but
What? Excuse? In the armor? You?
that was before they kicked me out of. I committed some.
There's
Murders.
Can I get a roll from the two of you?
Kevin was definitely drinking a water.
Yeah, excellent. This is a perception roll.
Sure.
Cool. I'm not going to tell you the difficulty. You are enhanced
Ooh,
because
yes.
of unknowable truth.
I'm gonna save my Benny then.
Cool. Let me know if you have any skills related to it that would add to your adventure.
It's a 3.
I also have a 3. Any skills that might add to my venture?
But I... Oh, no.
lying?
No, you're all having a fine day.
Yeah.
You see the guards pass by, the pristine defenders, and audience. The camera shifts over to a human-sized anthropomorphic beetle with a little, old-style journalist pad, scraping away with several writing implements at once with its little beetly legs.
Love that.
With a little slightly smoking fancy cigar, putting up smoke and listening with, you see one long antenna sort of pointed back toward their conversation. That's from Ken Davidson.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. Cool. But you do not notice it as you continue your conversation. So you were saying that you were part of the pristine defenders at one time.
I mean, I mean, obviously you're out now,
Yeah.
so that's probably not a big deal anymore.
Sure.
I'm still trying to suss out how the justice system works. Are they different than the Shade or Shivers or Thaw?
They are very different. Yes. The Pristine Guard are the personal defenders of the Marquis District and of the Deathless Triumvirate.
There's private police here?
Yeah.
You see several tables look over at you in like, how rude, you know. The sort of proprietor of this establishment, what do they look like? One of you.
They look like cloud of moths.
Oh, so many moths. Yeah.
Just
beautiful.
sort of undulating around, and they have a little like old style radio speaker, sort of like sticking out the front, like it's almost like one of those little
Like a
moth
proboscis?
proboscis, and they speak out of it.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, it's so cute. So it is starting to like come hover over by your table, like, you know, looking at non-existent pocket watches on non-existent arms. So they're wanting you to move along.
Well, perhaps we should finish this conversation on the way. Shana reaches into a slender pocket, pulls out a bag that's way too big for the pocket, and plops a bag of orbs on the table. They land with a classy and gemmy clunk.
Calvin is sort of just overwhelmed by seeing that many orbs in one place at one time. Mike stands up. Okay, yeah, sure. Let's walk and talk.
Excellent. We are being rated by Unmade Gaming. Thank you so much. That's very lovely.
Thank you, Unmade Gaming.
And I am not good at pronouncing that NPC's name, but Ken Davidson's NPC is Dramonine, and there's a picture of them if you click the link in chat. They're,
cool.
One of the Notion, of course, is one of Saturine's great gossip rags, and they are one of the journalists for it. So,
Yeah, Calvin reads the Notion.
heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's one of the
But you don't even know one of your favorite gossip rag journalists are in this room spying on you right now.
No, had no idea. It would make sense based on how many stories about Calvin showed up in the Notion over the weeks and months.
Love it. So good. Excellent. So you head out of the establishment. Are you going straight toward the house, or is there anything you're doing to gear up first?
Shana would look to Calvin and go, is there any supplies that you need beforehand?
I mean, I feel like I got me. Right?
Yeah, you got you. Let's do this.
You're feeling yourself. It's good because I just drew the angel, which is the defender of your heart, so of notions. So you are getting a +2. You're double enhanced right now.
Double enhanced, baby.
So what's your pitch, right? We're going to steal from my house, and you're going to pay Calvin. That's the pitch, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? As you walk over, are there any other major details you can tell him?
I have some gloves that I miss that would be nice to have.
Okay.
Also, there's a rock that somebody wants from inside my house. They'll pay a lot of money for it. That's mostly where you're getting paid from, is for hawking the rock. The rock's, it's a pretty ordinary rock. Nothing really too much to worry about that.
Why do you need it? The hate says sounds dangerous. Why do you need a rock?
Because someone's going to pay a lot of money for the rock. And I want the gloves and a few other things from within the house.
Okay, so it's an expensive rock that looks ordinary. Some gloves.
Yeah.
What color?
They're black leather.
Dark black and red.
Okay. I mean, sure. Am I going in alone?
No, I'll be going in with you.
Okay.
I
got to keep eyes out for it.
Yeah. I'll probably pick up a few other different things, and if you see anything that you really want, just take it. It is mine after all.
Okay. Oh, hey, I've been meaning to ask, do you know anything about changeries?
Yes.
I've got to run down some leads.
Okay.
I need to know about older changeries, like places that were around a real long time ago.
I'm familiar with a few of those.
Do you know any changeries that aren't strictly ethical?
Depends on how you define ethical.
Not your kind of unethical. This kind of unethical.
I'm more familiar with my kind, but
Do you point up?
I'm just gesturing wildly.
You are gesturing wildly, and you feel your finger like a lodestone pulled in a very particular direction. And as you look up to it, there, suspended, hanging out of the air, is an enormous building-sized dagger, point down with the big hilt up at the top. It is, the home of the Deathless Triumvirate, supposedly. Not that anyone ever sees them and knows what they get up to. Hanging, carefully over the Marquee District. So this kind of unethical.
I might know some people who might know some people.
Okay. And maybe this is a thing that we can talk about after we rob your home.
Yes.
So weird. But
Old home.
I've got to look into some things. There are some people that I am pretty sure I owe a debt to.
How do you do with large people? Are you afraid of big things? You're kind of a skittish person sometimes.
I mean, I've dealt with some tough customers, let me assure you.
Well, this customer's not tough. They're just really big.
Oh, I mean, I guess I'll be fine.
Sure. I mean, as long as you be on your best behavior. Because if you're not, I will kill you.
As you say that, some of the exquisite rat family sisters are going by in this very expensive district, clearly on a shopping spree, looking over to some very, very fancy, beautiful window, showing off the newest enchanted, cool clothing, and they are just what are they gossiping about as they go?
Oh my God! What are the rats gossiping about?
Oh my God! If you look over here, it looks almost like it's just exactly the color of your new dog.
Squeak.
Oh, squeak.
Awesome. Excellent. So there.
Darcy, because you did bring up the rat family, I do feel that I have to point out that I am kind of engaged to one of the rats.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. So you notice them because how could you not with the squick, right? They are very loud. Their voices echo in this beautiful, pristine area. And so you definitely notice them before they notice you. Do you engage with them?
Well, you're engaged to a rat, so you're engaged with them.
Yeah, and Calvin does not know
it's hard
this
to tell
is the
which
case.
Oh, Calvin doesn't know?
Yeah, remember
How did that happen?
It was.
Is this part of his service to the rat family?
No, this is not.
Okay.
Calvin was trying to
remember.
find Wayne, and he did this small adventure with this rat person,
Daughter,
with this fabulous rat daughter.
Yeah.
Each daughter more fabulous than the last. And it ended up that he needed a favor from this person, and he was desperately chasing after them, and she did not know that he didn't mean her harm.
Yep.
So it was kind of a long and winding chase. And when talking about all of this, she found out that he possesses a rat coin. And she is currently, her family is trying to marry her off to someone. So a person who possesses a rat coin would be a good get,
Yeah.
especially for a rat family.
Exactly.
They're looking at wedding dresses.
God.
And you can see the crestfallen, stressed out face of the beautiful rat daughter, whose name I totally forget, but it has a lovely name that I will look up again. As she's being dragged around by her sisters. She does not want to, so whether that's she's told them she's marrying you, whether that's she's been married off to someone else in your absence.
Yeah, we don't
Unclear.
know. We don't know. I kind of feel because the angel is in play,
Yeah.
Calvin tries to wave to this rat daughter
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, it's somebody I know.
Yeah.
And like a bus goes by or something.
Carriage, a long carriage.
A
though.
very
stretched
long
Yeah,
carriage.
stretch carriage. Stretch Hummer carriage.
And by that time, like we're closing in on Shana's house. And
I think that's great. Yeah, so you're getting to the end of that district. Boop, 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 boop. You're getting to where it's getting a lot quieter, right? You're not hearing the distant footfalls of those gold-plated armor folk, the pristine guard. It's getting a little quieter. It does seem to be getting a little darker. Of course it is. I
devil.
pulled the devil. It is the nemesis of secrets. It is the nemesis of Shana.
Womp, womp, womp.
-1 to everybody. -2 for you, my friend. So tell us as we're getting out of sort of established Marquee District, what does it start to look like as we're getting into where your house
Yeah.
once
So
still is?
Yes, as you get closer and closer to sort of the edge of the Marquee District, you start to see some of these floating buildings. You see what looks to be some of them that are obviously sort of more obviously appear to have been floating, but might have crashed into the ground.
Yeah.
ooh, okay.
People are still living in them and operating out of them, but there's definite cracks in the ground. The glowing cobblestones stop glowing in the order of the path of the suns and just start glowing with this inky darkness as you step on them. As you get closer and closer to Shana's house, you're surrounded by more and more destruction and rubble.
This, as we are getting into one of the ruined expanses of Saturnine folks, and here is where the encounter-based flux could take place. So if you find us in a dramatic moment when you think we should pull off of this nice flux table for 1,000 bits,
Yeah,
we will do
1,000
so.
bits.
So exciting. All right, so you're getting into this rubbled expanse. I assume this is a place that you've mostly avoided, right? You've been told not to go to these kinds of destroyed areas. You have no reason to go there.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, like Libra Light will tell me, oh, you probably shouldn't go to this place. And if
Right.
Calvin can even like parse what that place is,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I'll avoid it. Actuality is dangerous and it sucks.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
probably right.
Excellent. It's what are the noises here?
There's sort of a distant like crackling. You're not sure if it's the logs in a fire or if it's like bones being crushed, but there's that sort of like just little small little sounds just sort of inching into your periphery. There's very, very little of the usual background noise of Saturn. You don't hear a lot of magical whooshes, a lot of people talking. It is weirdly quiet in a place so quickly surrounded by people on all sides.
I feel like Calvin is trying to place what the experience of this place feels like.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's seen some stuff.
Right.
And at first he's like, oh, it's kind of creepy like the red. But it doesn't feel like that kind of overwhelming unnerving. In fact, when he felt the most unnerved, he was in the shadow side of the gold sun. He's like,
Yep.
that's it. It's that kind of wrongness that permeates the air here.
Yeah. It had the thing that's creeping Calvin out. I think one of the major things that's creeping Calvin out about this is that familiarity with it. Yes, from being on the night side of the gold, but deeper than that, an old familiarity. There's an old recognition here in your bones. It's changing your posture a little bit, not like that more rigid soldier-like stance. Even being in the presence of this place, clearly so shelled out by the war, whatever's still here is calling back some of those deep memories.
Shana conversely appears to relax.
Yes. Excellent. So what are you staying silent as you lead Calvin to your house? Are you sneaking? Are you trying to walk confidently? How are you going about?
Shana was sort of staying a little quiet at the beginning, just sort of leading and seeing Calvin just sort of straighten up a bit.
Yeah.
She goes, so do you have any questions?
I mean, we already know that we don't exactly know what the threat is going to look like in there.
Yes.
I can't think of a thing to ask, but if you're in trouble, what will you say?
It should be pretty apparent.
Sure. I mean, from what I've seen of you, from what I know of you, you've handled yourself very cavalierly in a lot of kind of very serious situations.
Yes.
And this is our first time in a real life and death circumstance together. I just want to know what to expect.
Well, if you die, I'll try and undo it.
I'm probably not going to die.
But still, generally, if I am going to be in a lot of trouble, I will...
It seems to me like
Just face it.
these things have been here for a long time, right?
Yes.
And you haven't come for them before?
I've come for some things.
Okay. Okay. I just... Feels like there are memories here for you.
That's for sure.
You're passing what looks like an enormous, beautiful, like big marble expanse, like a big kind of open courtyard with all sorts of cool arches and stuff, kind of an open air, almost ballroom looking thing. But it's tilted, like a shipwreck halfway, 45-degree angle up, with the, parts of it still looking really pristine and parts of it all pocked as though some sort of acid or something had been draped over it. So it's got a real unnervingness to it. And as you're sort of passing the underneath side of it, when I'm going to have you two make some dodge rolls as a creaking noise happens.
Cool.
So this is a magical effect. So you need to succeed twice to even have a chance, as this is magically an enormous church-looking thing trying to slam down onto you.
Oh, zip. Okay.
Okay.
It's been very quiet.
Wait, so this thing is a building?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a bunch of arches on a marble platform.
All right.
It kind of clearly used to have like towers and stuff and rooms, but they've all fallen apart. So instead it's just the marble base that's trying to basically right itself and smash you.
I'm going to spend sortilege and a bene on this one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're looking for a 4.
Okay.
Can I resist this with a magical effect of my own?
That seems reasonable, yes.
Cool.
So you're spending a bene. Okay,
4 and
nice.
5,
okay,
baby.
cool. So you'll have to let me know how you make that happen.
Oh, it's going to make things worse.
Good. Oh, that was one of the helpful sortilege. Good.
So thank you, chat.
Yes.
That's the thing. So right now, Shana is not doing so great on the
And
roll
your
front.
counter spell, did you beef that up to a higher level?
Just levels 1 and 2.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Does this count as a barrier or trap?
Seems trap-like.
Then Shana will do a secret.
Do a secret?
Yes.
What is that? Oh, yeah, cool.
Shana walks unimpeded through the ship.
Are you doing a mage's path?
Yeah.
Hey, Shana, I got some news for you.
What?
Calvin does that too.
Oh,
We
yeah!
both got the mage's path.
Cool. Does it look the same for you? Is it like you both, or is it look? Does it manifest wildly different? These are character secrets.
Yes.
So yeah, for Calvin.
So this big ballroom, how it starts happening is it's quiet. You're talking. You're going sort of. You're not really going underneath this this floor, but you're going next to it, and then it sort of. With a groan, kind of shoots upward and starts to fall down on you. Not just falling, but trying to slam down. On you.
Yeah. Shana walks almost like she is like entirely unimpeded. Like
Continues walking.
There's no reason to not be continuing to walk casually. She just steps up onto a thing, steps up over here, positions her head, which conveniently goes through a hole as the ballroom smashes down. She steps up onto the ballroom itself. She keeps walking.
Yeah, for Calvin, he sees this thing coming toward him, and there is like that pang of fear, and then like there's that crackle of fire for a second,
Yeah.
and Calvin can see, flaws in the angles of this place, and instead of moving and running, like. He's just studying those angles as they grow closer and closer to him, and then he is in step next to Shana inside the ballroom.
Cool. Perfect. So both of you lay down that first step together, continuing the walk.
Yeah, I mean, Shana acts probably like she'd been there before, but Calvin does not.
Okay.
What was that? What was that?
What was what?
That was like Mario 64 stuff.
I don't think a video game has much to
Like jumping in a portrait, like going in a physical thing and it's liquid or fake.
We just walked. Is this the first time you've walked?
No, I walked to the restaurant.
I mean the true walk. The step of magic, of infinity, of all things.
I mean,
Unheeded, unbounded.
I've touched infinity before.
The step unasked for, the step unwanted.
It doesn't feel unfamiliar, but I don't remember doing it, which isn't weird for me.
There's the sound of birds taking flight, sort of
That's
off
not
in the
weird either.
distance. But as you know, your shouting out sort of has echoed across this quiet place. You notice that as you're staring down at the marble floor, it does seem to be like some, like when a big sea creature sort of is swimming beneath you.
Yeah.
And you just kind of see that shadow that sort of crosses your path and continues moving on off into a direction. That's it. That's what's happening.
Okay.
It has begun. We are being hunted.
Well, let's hurry it along then, I guess.
Sure.
All right. This is going on the gold side, which I can't reach. And Suspicious Hound. That's what we draw next. This is going to be visions. It's enhancing indigo magic, so magic having to do with reality. It's diminishing gray magic, magic having to do with lies, like shadow.
Ooh, okay.
So,
And
Suspicious
I'm no longer double diminished.
Sorry. Oh, that's good. All right, so we're probably getting close to your house now, or
Yeah,
is it further in?
We're probably getting pretty close.
Cool. Are you starting to look more nervous? The meanings of Suspicious Hound are doubt, suspicion, lack of clarity, judgment, and decisions.
Shana's not necessarily looking more nervous, but Calvin's been around Shana enough to know that she doesn't usually walk places with her knife in her hand already.
Yeah.
She still sort of appears like she's like more at ease in this place, but it's definitely sort of tinged with this like wariness and expectation of danger.
And so beautiful. The Suspicious Hound is going to be held in the Testament of Sons for the rest of the session. So it's going to keep on enhancing truth and diminishing lies, just as we started our adventure on the revealing knife for Shana, at least.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so you're still looking calm, and we come upon the region you found your house last.
Yeah.
So you found this, I think what it looks like right now is quite like eerily like it looked before the war. It looks like an awesome, well-furnished, kind of pristine looking. Is it like a mansion?
Yeah.
Is it floating or is it on the ground?
It's floating probably about just like a foot off the ground, almost sort of like an old style Victorian that you've sort of put a twist in the middle of.
Oh, beautiful.
It's got a little like signpost at the front that is prominently displaying a sort of glowing popped off sigil like those neon lights in the Marquee District of the symbol of the Order of the Vance.
You were a Vance?
Well, they kicked me out for the murders.
I mean, sure, but you were a Vance.
Yeah.
You! I've met one other Vance. And if they're indicative of what Vances are like, this is a big surprise.
Well, there are multiple kinds of people, Calvin.
Yeah, I know there are multiple kinds of people, but there's like a lot of studying, right? There's a lot of, I don't know, ritualistic studiousness.
But you can always take shortcuts with everything. There are Vance who cheat. we get kicked out, but...
That neon, that sigil of the Order of the Vance is now, as you're approaching, it starts to expand out like those like weird metal balls that have like all the interlocking rings that kind of expand out. The sigil starts to expand out, and the light with which it was formed starts to snap into different configurations and zoom out into some sort of elaborate sort of magical ritual.
Shana just sort of goes, oh, right, and she goes, boop, 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 tapping at the different symbols in a specific order, almost like it's a combination lock.
Yeah.
And the door disappears to the house.
All right, fancy.
Where it was quiet before, but you had heard that sort of crackling of fire just so faintly, it's now a little louder, and you could swear, even though it surely isn't so, that the cadence of the fire crackles has a lilt-like speech. There's no speech to be made out of it, but it's taking on a voice-like quality. So the door is disappeared. Is it like a two-story thing, you said?
It's
it's
one
twisted in the
story
middle.
twist, second story above the twist.
Are there balconies? Or is it all...
Like maybe like a sort of, like a little bit like a pushed out window, like you might pop it open and stick your head out of.
Lovely.
Less like a balcony, yeah.
Excellent. So that door, that front double door has disappeared, and you can see that there's a long hallway inside.
All right, let's look through. Where do you think you left a rock?
I probably left it in one of my studies.
All right. Let's go to the study.
Yeah. Shana does a little hop up to her house and walks up the steps.
Excellent. You take several quick steps onto that. So many good pictures in here. This is Secrets of Silent Streets that I'm reading from, and it is full of terrible, terrible things to put in your Invisible Sun game. Excellent. So you take several quick steps up. What are on the walls? Are there art? Is it art of this little, like long hallway with a bunch of rooms coming off of it?
It would probably be a number of different pictures. You see a picture of a very like regal-looking woman.
Okay.
People who saw the development session earlier would recognize her as the queen from there before. The picture seems mostly focused on her, with, you presume, a king standing nearby her, but it's more prominently displayed to look towards her. You see some pictures of what's probably Shana in some sheen, glimmering armor. It's the same face, so it's probably the same person. With glowing sigils sort of floating just above the armor in a like runic magic sort of fashion. a picture of a countryside with a small little cottage in the distance. A picture of is it like a mound of coins? A mound of beetles?
Something glittering.
Something glittering and in a pile. You're not sure why someone would put a picture of that in their hallway, but
There it
that's
is.
there. Yep.
Either beetles or coins.
Excellent. So as you're walking in, you're getting to see this other side of Shana for the first
Yeah.
time, and you're beelining it to the study, or are you trying to go to the
Yeah.
room to look for the?
Shana is just entirely ignoring the pictures on the walls and goes, the study should be that way. I'm going to go grab the gloves.
Sure. So this whole place was yours.
Yes.
Who's this?
Shana pokes her head back out of the room that she appeared to have sounded like she was pulling things out of drawers sort of haphazardly. Who's who?
The woman in this picture.
The queen?
Oh, that's right. You were one of those private cops. So you served a queen?
Yes. I also killed a queen.
That was the murder?
And the husband and a few other people, some other guards.
Oh my God, why?
I needed to survive.
Okay, I kind of get that. Sure. Yeah. Wow.
Sometimes you just need to, you make the decisions that you're able to make at the time.
Sure. Okay. Let's find this study.
So you continue rifling through
Yeah.
drawers, pulling stuff out, and can I get like some kind of search check from you?
Yeah, sure.
Let me know what you're bringing to it. If you could even be like destroying things to get inside them, whatever. Many options depending on how like tidy or clever you want to be.
Yeah, Shana is definitely not being very tidy. She's just sort of ripping into things and pulling them out and going, oh, what the hell's this? All right, it's a pair of pants. I don't need that. Chuck. As she just tears through all of these drawers. So I'm not bringing any specific skill to bear.
Okay.
If I wanted to spend a bene, what would you think it would be?
I think it would be probably
Perception?
Perception would be good. Yeah.
Cool.
That'd be great. Yeah. And you've of course got sortilege in case you wanted to magic up, speed up your thing a bit.
I think she'll just sort of...
All right. So we're looking for a challenge of 6.
6.
Okay, excellent. So you find not the gloves that you were looking for, but you find something else really cool. So I'm going to give you, so the thing you find is it's tucked into some kind of pocket. It's actually a business card looking thing. Where do you find it? This is a special little like note card sort of thing.
Yeah, Shana is opening up like a desk, and she pops open some sort of like case with like little sort of like, you'd think it'd be a pencil case, but it was filled with little like wands.
Ooh, nice, yeah.
And in there she finds the business card.
Excellent. It is a Grinn's Grammary. Its holder is granted access to the chained tomes of Grinn's Grammary, standard fees apply. But what is written on the side of that is a message from Grin himself, and it is it's something to the effect of an IOU. What does it say? Is it like, we could probably put it up on here.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for your help, or
Yeah.
is it fearful? Is it something you intimidated this person into giving you?
I think it
Or
would...
just a bloody thumbprint or something?
I think it would say, I don't care about the book anymore.
Oh my God.
I just need to talk to you.
God, how romantic.
Jesus. I love that. Okay, I'm writing that down. I don't care about the book anymore. I just need to talk to you. So you find that, and you sort of realize that you've searched everywhere this these gloves would be on this this first room, and probably this first floor. So you probably need to go upstairs to look next. God. All right, look up that quote again later. That's
that rules.
wonderful. Meanwhile, you're looking in the study.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us what your study looks like?
Yeah, so Shana's study has a number of sort of persistent, those little runic symbols sort of floating around, like almost like they're labeling different like small little drawers and little vials and...
Very tidy and structured and kind of organized in the way that Vance's would
generally
be.
are. Yeah. It's like very much everything has a place and everything to its own place. Sort of haphazardly on one of the walls, though, is like a big glass tube. And inside of the tube is some sort of weird ichor that Calvin has never seen before, just sort of flowing in and around and inside of the tube. Along the desk itself, there are a few different tomes sort of flipped open. You see some of them have pages ripped out. And Shana appeared to be possibly putting the pages together, like she was trying to assemble them into some fourth book. And Calvin would also probably see a rock.
Yeah, he would see a rock if he wasn't immediately drawn to the ichor tube.
It's even worse than that. So there's the ichor tube, of course. So Revolutionary is the card I drew. This is for you.
Oh, we know this boy.
We do know this
And
boy,
his deeds.
and that's perfect for what I wanted to do. So there's
And I'm double enhanced now.
Ooh, really?
Because of this boy, yeah.
Dang, Sovereign?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. There is by the ichor thing, there's some other token of the queen. What is it? Is it a locket? Is it an image of her?
It would be a like small sort of cut crystal.
Okay.
Which issuing forth from it is like a little hologram of her.
Love it. Is it like slightly moving?
Yeah.
What's her now that this is the first time you've seen her movement, and what does it look like?
It's regal, but then there's very much sort of like a short sort of moment that's like a little bit of a crack of a smile, a little bit of a sort of a bashful sort of look away, and then back to sort of the regal, normal nature of it.
Excellent.
Yeah, Calvin is, I guess, he's drawn in to see that. He's like getting a sense of who this person was.
So you're leaning in over the little hologram thing. It's sort of down below this this long cylinder of ichor, but it's in the sort of burbling reflection of the shiny glass and of that ichor that you see behind you. That queen yet again, but that painted form of her stepping now fully fully sized to a normal human, like leaning over you, and her smile, that charming, coy smile that she has just flickering in that hologram, is instead reflected back upon you as this horribly long and further breaking rictus smile as her teeth are getting bared and the skin around her cheeks is being pulled apart, and an utterly horrible visage is starting to take her over, but she's still sort of smiling with her eyes at you as she's leaning over.
Sophie?
Have a despair. By the way, how much despair do you have now? Do you need some
this
joy
is
in this
my
boy's
fifth.
life?
Yeah,
Okay.
this boy's looking for some joy.
Noted.
Joy boy.
Sophie, is this a fake thing that I'm seeing, or is this a real thing that I'm seeing?
You feel Sophie's little hands sort of like shuddering at your coat. It just in fear.
Okay, fine.
What do you do? She's leaning closer and closer, and her hands are coming up.
Calvin is going to gracefully move at the speed of depth, using one of his incantations. Yeah.
Ephemera? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna do that. He needs a 6 for this. So
that actually is what I think it adds to your venture. So it's like
It's a level
If it's
6,
a
yeah.
level 17 to defeat her, you would have a +6 to your adventure, so it gets you closer.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's
Wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
So wait.
So what does that spell do? What is that incantation?
You step into one corner or architectural angle in a structure and appear in another in the same structure.
Cool.
So what Calvin is going to do, he is going to sort of lean into one of the angles on this table
Nice.
and sort of like fall away from her. And he's going to appear in a chair on the other side of the room and kind of a deshabille, like
Nice.
looking behind her. So that's a 9, I guess.
That'll
with that.
do. You notice that, through that reflection, like her fingers are getting unnaturally long and start to. I think it defeats it. Yes, just barely. So you just narrowly.
Calvin doesn't know that.
Yeah. So you just narrowly miss her long fingers. They sort of pierce the air where you once were, as you casually are in this chair. And again, she looks like this uncanny valley, like wax figure, rather than something made in the shape of the queen, rather than her. So you cast that incantation, you show up in the chair, and what do? She looks confused for a moment and slowly, unnaturally turns only her head toward you.
So you must be the hate cyst.
The smile is getting bigger and bigger, and pieces of her waxy cheek are sort of extending out to sort of accommodate this widening smile.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm here for a rock.
Can you give me a resist roll?
Yes, please.
As she turns her horrible gaze upon you. What does the queen's gaze usually look like?
The queen's gaze usually is sturdy and comforting.
There's a malicious glee looking at you from behind these waxy eye sockets. So you're looking for a resist roll. If you have any skills or like armor or something that like helps you with resist, you can add it. You probably don't, and that's okay.
I do not right now, yeah.
So this is, you are not, so actually Sovereign gives you a +1 to your venture.
Oh, cool.
Fire Penis Guy is great for everybody. Yay. Fire Penis Guy. He's a revolutionary for us all. Good for him. So you're looking at a level 6 task to resist this gaze.
Okay, so with +1, I think I am going to spend a sortilege on this.
That's a great idea.
And just roll away. And hey, I got a 7.
Okay, you can feel it starting to affect you as this gaze is clearly somewhat magical. How do you think so this is a gaze that would paralyze. It's this creature of the cyst. Yeah. It's one of this thing's abilities. How do you think that does it feel cold? Is it hot? Is it something else?
I think it feels sort of prickly.
Right.
Like almost like when you're just sort of waking up and some of your limbs are still asleep.
Oh, yeah.
It almost sort of hurts to move them, but you know the only way to feel better is to move them.
Yeah. That kind of prickling. Cool. You start to feel that effect on you, but you're able to sort of activate your magic a little bit, and it sort of glistens off as you kind of engage those magical muscles. It looks a little, it sort of gives you a little frown, and is taking a further step toward you.
Yeah, you're feeling it too, huh? Well.
Are you upstairs looking for the, or are you still nearby?
Shana's nearby. She's probably just about to leave that room and basically walk past the study up the stairs.
Okay.
If Calvin makes any noises.
I'm sure he will if this doesn't work out for him. We used to fight, I think. So I know we're not going to get along.
The nostrils get real big and sort of sniff at you. And you can see its face sort of loses a lot of the humanity looking on it, and it becomes this misshapen, bony framework on which waxy skin is sort of hung. It sort of loses some of the even cursory glamour to make it look humanoid at you, and gives you a snarl.
I kind of feel like you were trying to attack someone else. but since this is our first time meeting in a very, very long time, I was hoping that you wouldn't mind if I tried something.
You've perplexed the bejesus out of this thing.
Calvin is going
Not the
to
smartest.
snuff the divine.
What does that mean?
Snuff the divine
A spell, cool.
is the spell that he used to attack the warden of the dark gold. He is going to try and pull all of the magic out of this thing, and essentially, like, Calvin is right now operating on the probably wrong assumption that Hate Cyst is the same kind of magic as all of the legacy.
Right.
And the Snuff the Divine is a spell that uses the legacy. So I think even if I roll really well, there's a very good chance, and I can't wait to find out, I could roll really well and this still won't work out for me.
Cool.
Because
Remember what that does?
I do remember what that
Cool,
does.
continue.
So yeah, calling on the hidden names of the legacy itself, I cancel an ongoing magical effect from any source, even one normally permanent. This spell is a level 10, and it is at +2 dice.
And it's part of the legacy?
Yes.
Yes.
It is invisible, and it is legacy and meta magic. So I get... the high roll is a 9 on that one. I rolled 7, 8, 9, and boy howdy, isn't that a fun one?
Wow, nice.
Nice.
Invisible Sun is nothing. All right. So you get a 9, but it's the legacy. So
Yes.
what does this spell look like when you try to cast it on this being?
So Calvin looks different when he tries to cast this spell. There's a little bit of a gleam on the buttons that run down his vest. You can see, like, when you look at a fire and there's that kind of heat warping the world around it, that like starts to spring up around him. And you like, This is a moment where if you were to think of Calvin as whatever thing in between two things that he is, like he was a Vizsla and he's not a warden, but he's on that spectrum somewhere. He looks so much more shifted towards a warden in this, and he just stretches his hand out and places it on the head of this creature. Kind of hoping that it will just dissipate.
Great.
And that he can solve this whole hate cyst problem that we've had
and
for God knows how long. He's feeling very confident.
Snuff the Divine is +2 dice, which you rolled, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. So the card I drew is Hidden Moon.
So that is a 9 plus the 10, so that is like
quite high.
19.
But it is also a legacy spell. And
to remind everybody, the legacy is the legacy of the possible creator of all of the suns.
Yeah, the legacy spell is the spell that created everything, theoretically.
Leaves the world, and angels are concerned with the legacy, maybe talk about themselves as defenders of it. And so it's a very reasonable thing for Calvin to have done.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hidden Moon is about new beginnings, insight, intuition, foresight, looking ahead, and potential danger. Cool. So looking ahead. The moon rewards those who can discover its secrets. So as you reach out and you touch this thing, you're so confident in its ability to work. You touch it and you're bringing to bear all this aspect of the legacy, everything you know about the suns and wardens and rightness and structure, and you're trying to shut down this magical process. And you think, it's the oldness too, the sense of history. So you're looking back, and as you touch it, that prickly sensation overcomes you, right? That sense of limbs gone to sleep and hurting and pushing through that. You're having kind of brief flashes of the war and being on the ship and looking out upon a land where hate cysts have really taken over. You're not getting a lot of specific details, but you have that feeling, and you've spent weeks living in that feeling. So you're wearing that mantle again of the horror of what the hate cysts are.
Flux.
Oh, sweet, perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Flux.
Thank you, Flux. Thank you, Zeros.bar. Go check out Zeros bar, Zeros.bar. It's where you can find cool articles from the Notion itself and from our own Dramamine.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Freaking awesome. Cool. So you're touching this thing, you're getting these flashes of the past, but you're also looking forward. You can feel like a lever gosh, it's like when you just can't get purchase on something, right? So you're trying to match something up, or you're trying to push a lever, and that direction just won't take, right? So you feel your magic slip off this thing and in fact burn up in your hand. It is going to do quite a bit of damage to you, so it's going to do, you feel a thrum as that magic sort of reverberates back on you, and you sort of see little, what does the hate cyst kind of look like when it, what did we see when?
Yeah, when Shana touched it.
Yeah.
It looks sort of like that ichor in that jar over there.
Yeah, that ichor in the jar is starting to spread up your arm, and not only that, it does 10 points of damage.
What?
That could kill you. I'm not exactly sure. That might kill you. In any case, let's find out what this Flux is doing before we kill Calvin.
Yeah.
So, I do. I'll grab our handy death tokens here, I think. Nope, these aren't the death tokens.
You want one of these?
They're like little skulls.
I have a
Yeah.
bunch of little skulls right here.
Cool. I think we got
We might
some.
need one more, actually,
Okay, sure.
in case we kill Calvin.
Yeah. Well, I can fix it. I said I would fix it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel like I need to make this a rollable table because I don't want to have to read these.
Well, how many options are there?
Many already, which is great.
Give me the highest number.
That's it's 33 plus. Oh, it's not quite right. It's about 45.
All right, Chad, give me
A random number.
Give me a number between 1 and 15, and then we'll add them up.
Do it. 10.
All right, so that's 10. Okay.
And
4.
four.
All right,
14.
14.
Okay. Great.
Or 23.
From Joshua Hudner.
Sure.
For the rest of the day, every bird call will sound like your name. If some other animal call or pseudo-animal call is more appropriate, no. Nothing's more appropriate than birds. So I think this, the hate cyst latches on to some element of your affinity with whatever.
Does the ichor sort of start to boil off into birds?
Yeah.
Nice, I
ooh,
like that.
Creepy birds.
Yeah.
Human
and
Like
faces?
with no feathers around or muscles around their exposed
gross.
skull, with like 3 heads instead of legs, yeah.
And I think because there's some wild magic happening, and it's like damaging Calvin very much.
Yeah.
But I feel like the ichor isn't like tainting him or anything, right?
Not in this round, no.
Cool.
I mean,
Okay.
it feels real bad, and
feels-
it's just doing a lot of damage to you. And it's clearly, I think this flux is related to it's affecting your magic in some inherent way.
Yeah. So I think like those birds are like flipping about and landing in different parts of the
Yeah.
room and looking at him, and they just sort of say, Calvin.
Weaver.
Calvin Weaver.
Calvin Weaver.
Calvin Weaver.
Calvin Weaver.
So you're hearing this from the room over, and you know nothing good can be coming of this. But we need to calculate your damage out.
Yeah.
So
How much damage?
you take 3 injuries, and then you either get a wound or an anguish, depending on if this is physical or mental. So
Okay.
this is kind of a physical attack right now. It's the ichor. So what happens is your 3 injuries fill up, and you can either take a wound, which is bad news, or you can spend a physicality to sort of absorb that wound.
I'm absolutely spending a
So you
physicality
spend
to
your
absorb that
one
wound.
physicality, so that's knocked down 3 out of your 10 points. So another 3 happens, fills up that slot, right? Because we were adding up to 6 points of damage.
They
is
clear,
each one
and then
of
you get
these,
3 more.
Yeah,
Okay.
they clear when you soak that wound. So are you going to soak a second wound?
Yes, I am.
Cool. Go
right.
ahead and spend that. Are you going to soak a third wound?
I think I got to do the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I think you got to do a whole thing. This is real bad news. So you're remaining with 1 injury, which is fine. It's not going to affect you mechanically. So what does that look like as you sort of, reconstitute your magic or use your cloak to sort of wipe it off? How are you
So I think
resisting this thing from totally eating you alive?
Calvin is. I like what you said earlier in that the ichor feels like it is boiling off. Calvin's.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Calvin's like just trying to throw more magic at the problem because he doesn't understand what's going on. You know, he thought at the end of last season, he thought he came to this epiphany that all the world is the same spell and that he is a being now that understands that on an intuitive level and that anything that is a part of this world can be moved about by those same forces. And that's how you build suns somehow. Like there are a bunch of other steps in between, but like that's the basic mechanics. And now
The rest is bookkeeping.
realizing that this stuff might not be from here. And so he's just like trying to put as much power as he can between himself and this thing so that he can figure out what's going on. And for the very first time, you know, like he can see this being, he knows intuitively this being is not stronger than the warden that he faced in that other sun. But for some reason, it is still dangerous to him.
Have a joy for learning that there are other kinds of magic out there.
So neat.
Yeah,
Calvin's so happy.
neat. You're not gonna be happy about this right now, but it is a joyful thing. As someone interested in the fundamental fabric of the universe and the actuality, that is actually quite important for you to know. So yay that. But you are feeling the weakened. You know, as you spend all this magic, you're definitely feeling that weakened nature. You hear a bunch of weird bird calls, something
Calvin Weaver.
calling Calvin Weaver. You were definitely going to walk past the study to sort of go upstairs, and you see what you know to be a cyst spawn, a rictus hunter specifically, in the shape of your dead queen.
Yeah.
So let's call a new card first of all. How do you react to that? Would you say, knowing that we are calling upon the Messiah card? It's the Defender of Visions. Does not affect either of you, but it's pretty cool.
That is a card that I have never seen
Yeah,
before.
look at this.
It's
That's
neat.
because of my dope shuffling skills today. Thank you.
It didn't
Thank you,
exist
Shana.
in this game before this night, Monty. I'm on to you.
Messiah now maybe taking on the aspect of the other parts of the actuality, the perhaps powers of the dark. Who knows? Who could say? Messiah. Cool.
Yeah, so Shana sees what's going
Or is
on.
it the card of the queen? Anyway, continue.
Shana sees what's going on, mutters a quick, "Oh shit," and swaps her knife from her right hand. Or, no, she doesn't. She's ambidextrous.
Yeah.
That's a cantrip you can get. You can just be ambidextrous.
Awesome.
And Shana just reaches out with her left hand and sort of reaches into the air and casts a spell really quick. To make a time sword.
And you definitely see the stone on the desk glowing with a sort of pulsing with a weird kind of red energy.
That is 6 to cast a level 6.
Yep.
Cool.
You got it.
Boom. All right.
And you spent enough sorcery to cast that one spell,
Yeah.
Cool. Which I stole from you.
You got to spend 10.
Okay. I got to spend sorcery. Oh.
Yeah. You got to spend sorcery to cast spells.
Yeah, Calvin, we can't all be.
You can't all just be a weaver and do whatever you want all the time.
Yeah, so you're feeling weakened by that.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Shana is going to use a little bit of borrowed time to help cover the distance. And take her extra action for the day.
Nice. Awesome.
And just basically run up and stab the Rictus Hunter with the sword of this knife of congealed time.
Knife of congealed time. Awesome.
Yeah.
It is it's going to be a level 8 to hit, but are you
Cool.
kind of compressing those two actions into one? Like, I wonder if you wanted to, instead of having two actions, if you wanted to compress that time into one action, you could basically make it easier to hit because you're compressing that time and acting much faster.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, she'll do that.
Cool.
instead. Right.
That's going to make it only a level 6 to hit.
Cool. Awesome. My current
Got a
venture
bunch, I bet.
is 8.
8. Apostates are a little stabby.
Yeah.
Shayna's way stabby, for the record, and has a wicked knife.
Yes, but she's not even using the wicked knife.
No,
she's using a
she's
different
using the
thing.
regular.
She doesn't want the wicked knife to get eaten.
Legit.
Cool. Sweet. So that is a total of 16.
16.
And Shayna does plus
Shayna
5
does a
damage.
17. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, plus 5 damage. So you do, is it a light weapon to start with?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 7 points of damage. But as you're getting getting that stabby on, how does the extra?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. You do
That's
some mean things to this.
Yeah. So in addition, it looks like the time sort of like gets almost like sharper and
Yeah.
begins to like the sort of wibbly wobbly nature at the edges congeals and coalesces into a serrated knife blade.
Awesome.
As it plunges into the Rictus Hunter.
Looking much more dangerous than it initially was. So
Yes.
you have where do you stab it?
Shayna goes. Shayna moves her hand in the same way that she had killed the queen once already.
Yeah, nice. That remembered moment.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So you stab deeply into this thing. You see that even though this thing has really abandoned much of its visage to make it look like the old queen, it starts to move in the same way that she kind of turned betrayed toward you before falling. And have a joy as you sort of pull that knife out. All the birds are cackling, Calvin Weaver, going faster and faster. These birds are freaking out, ichor birds, and they seem to sort of expand and get bigger as you are doing that damage. They get sort of bubbling over, sort of as though they're getting hot and the fluid's moving faster and it's expanding. But as you pull that knife out, it was so deep in this creature that sort of the little hilt sort of catches on bits of its flesh, and what pulls out is drenched in horrible ichor. Those gloves you were looking for.
Wow! Yay!
How convenient.
That's nice.
That is
That's
nice.
dope.
As you look into the betrayed eyes, horrible, hate-sized eyes of your old queen.
And Shayna looks and says, "Sorry."
Yeah. So in a moment, all of this, suddenly Shayna is there, moving impossibly fast, moving perhaps two Shaynas overlapping at once with a vicious attack like you've never seen before. Even you see the glowing of that stone on the desk. Catches your eyes, even amongst the ichor birds and all the chaos going on. But this Hatesis spawn, its smile droops, and bits of the cheeks that had expanded off sort of just like, flake away as though they're ash on something that's been burned. And it sort of collapses to the ground and ekes away. What do you do?
Calvin is he's deeply tired. He's
Oh.
pretty hurt. And he's stunned. He's also saw Shayna do all of this stuff, and he kind of fell back against the desk, and he rummages around. Found your rock.
Yes. I got the gloves.
The gloves are not covered in a viscera. They're magic items. Of course, they have a basic, get this horrible stuff off of me. Although the hate cyst ichor, you do notice one little spot sort of remaining on its nice leather edge.
Can you wipe that off for me?
I thought I could wipe away a lot more stuff. Calvin takes out a handkerchief and kind of wipes it, and I feel like it kind of spreads across the handkerchief, and he just tosses it away. Spluck.
Thanks. I didn't really need to go through all that again.
I thought the spell that I cast would be the end of it.
What spell did you cast?
It unwrites magic from things. It takes it all away.
Huh. Well.
It worked on a warden.
Oh, fuck.
And here, nothing. I am gonna admit I underestimated it, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Well, that's just one of them. There's going to be a bunch more. We should probably leave unless there's anything else you want to steal.
Yeah, actually, there is one thing. Calvin sweeps his hand in a circle and grabs the new book that was being built out of the old books.
Sweet.
And he, I'm going to cast a spell for this, and I'm going...
You can refresh your sorcery pool.
Yeah, I
as
should
an action.
I will do that. I will do my little
Look
refresh.
at us. Calvin's definitely looked the most haggard that you've ever seen him for having expended his magical and physical resources.
Okay, can't use infinity for this.
Just letting you know which card I drew in case you want to weave this in anywhere.
Ooh.
Weave vignette out.
Yes.
Yeah, Calvin is going to weave together freedom and wind. He's, I think, going to pull a silver feather out of the air. I'll spend 1 point for using his little creation thing.
Nice.
And he flicks it, grabs the freedom and wind that kind of flow off of that pretty easily, and weaves them into a little monocle.
Ooh.
And what this is going to do is help him determine, help him take in very quickly the knowledge that was in that circle, and looking at the books on the shelves, the piece that was missing.
Cool.
He doesn't understand it, and he doesn't know what they're for, but it's I'm using sight and speed to sort of determine what belongs together here.
I like it.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm going to spend 5 on that.
Cool. You going to spend any sortilege?
I think I'm going to save this in case we have to fight another one of those awful things.
Legit.
So that is going to be an 8 overall.
8 overall. Cool. The new card that I drew is Untrustworthy Mirror. It's enhancing gold, diminishing silver. It is not of your family, so it doesn't impact that. So you're trying to swirl forward and look through the monocle to see what piece is missing. Do you have an answer to that? Do you know? If not, I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Do you know? Do you have any headcanon about what these papers are about, or not?
I was just going to sort of leave it up to whatever we decided.
Oh, perfect, perfect. The piece that, you're looking around and you're trying to find a piece of paper that's missing or a conceptual.
I think Calvin knew that whatever this work was, it was important. And
cool.
he knows that, he also knows Shana. And he's pretty sure, because this place is awful.
Yeah.
And this place is messing, specifically that hate cyst was trying to make Shana relive one of the worst moments of her life over and over again in an awful, cruel way. So he's pretty sure that because she's studying the hate cyst. The answer is right in front of her. She just didn't see it.
Your monocle is looking around the room, looking at these birds. Are they sort of dissipating as this is kind of part of this hate cyst, or are they still being horrible ichor birds?
I think they're still being horrible ichor birds. Yeah.
You have not killed the hate cyst in this
No.
area by any means.
No.
So you're looking around at the monocle, you're seeing these birds, you're seeing strange sides of them as the magic is trying to engage with it and look through them. And finally, your monocle sights on the little hologram of the queen, still, again, moving around gently and regally. But when you look at her with the monocle, she's holding something behind her back.
Calvin puts his hand out.
She turns her head away, trying not to see you.
Calvin raises an eyebrow.
Shana raises an eyebrow.
Yep.
What's going on?
To you, she just looks like
exactly.
she usually does. And finally, compelled by the will of your magic and the weaves, you can almost see those weaves of sight and speed, sort of reaching out and touching her hologram, and pulling out from behind her is like a little metal, it looks like it could be a little metal charm that you would have on a necklace. Kind of really like pewter, kind of like damaged pewter, but it is a dagger with the point down, a little hilt, like the one you saw this morning.
Up in the sky.
And it is that little dagger, and she holds it out.
He takes it. Thank you.
You immediately see a pewter, deathless triumvirate dagger pulled out of the hologram.
Hold on a second. Do you know what that is?
No.
Fine then. We'll go over that later.
Great. He puts it into the papers, closes a little folio around it. I'm good here. I've had more than enough of a day here.
Awesome. Let's go.
Excellent. As you all book it, Calvin Weaver, all these weird bird voices.
Calvin Weaver.
Calvin Weaver.
Calvin Weaver. Calvin Weaver.
It echoes, and the sound isn't even going down as you're leaving. It just pierces through the silence of the rubble, ruinous landscape before you. But just as you sort of leave and look back over your shoulder, you see a long, tall, elongated oval standing mirror, just sitting in the hallway, looking back at you. So that door is still missing, but that mirror is almost like it's waiting for you at the door as you've sort of walked outside of the house.
What does Calvin see in the mirror?
Daniel McPherson. Looking right back at him. Yeah, I think that's a thing that Calvin will, as he's walking home, try to convince himself that he did not see. Because he's pretty sure that person shouldn't be able to be around him anymore.
I think Shana sees what looks to be a face that looks sort of similar to hers. It looks like a bit of a sort of masculine face. It's wearing some dark glasses that you would remember as the glasses that Shana picked up and put in her pocket in the morning.
Both take some despair, my friends.
Hell yeah!
This is a bad
despair.
time.
It's a rough time.
And I think we will end our session there.
Well, there's one more thing
Yeah?
that needs to happen because Calvin goes home after a difficult day to Libralite. Despite all of the chaos, they're doing well, and they are cuddled up, probably reading together. And then from the corner of the room, Calvin Weaver.
Because it's all the
That
birds
parakeet.
all day.
His
No!
shorts parakeet.
His shorts parakeet.
Because all bird calls sound
All bird
like
calls.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Calvin
man,
has
how
to
horrible.
shut his book and stand up and sigh, and he looks at that parakeet. Calvin Weaver. He walks over, and it's got that friendly little face. Calvin Weaver. He sighs and picks up his shorts. And that's that.
What does Shana go home to? Or where does she go after this?
Shana goes to Shana probably heads to the undersling.
Wow.
She heads down there. She finds
Dang.
a just grimy bar, not the
Yeah.
fight bar before, but just
They abound.
yeah. Finds a corner and just begins paying for drinks, and just drinks and drinks, and then as she sort of like stumbles out of the bar, just like, oh, and then she steps, and she's in her room and falls flat on her face onto her bed.
Awesome.
Very good.
It's time for character summaries.
Yes,
so
yes,
we forgot to do
yes.
this at the end of last session because I'm rusty. But so this is where you each have a chance to say, hey, here's what my character sort of thinks at the end of this session. Just give me sort of general impressions of what your character takes away from this session. And I will award acumen as you let me know if you've sort of progressed along any of your character arcs or if you are perhaps embarking on any new character arcs or closing out old ones. And I will award joy and despair for the various things that have happened.
Cool.
So who's ready to start?
I can go first.
Yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about Shayna's day. How's
So-
Shayna feeling?
Shayna is feeling pretty crappy.
Pretty low.
Yeah, Shayna went into the day on a pretty good sort of high note, like, I'm gonna heist my house. I've done this before. It's not that hard. Like, sure, things want to kill me, but that's both basically everywhere. I can do a good thing. And she had a wonderful experience reconnecting back with, what was the name? Apollo.
Apollo.
Yes, I'm reconnecting back with Apollo, her wonderful octopus friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What about her? What are her character arcs again?
so learning
Yep.
about the Deathless Triumvirate,
Yeah.
and she should probably have a second one.
Chat, feel free to award yourself acumen. No one is there to stop you. I agree. You've all done great tonight.
You really have.
You brought
Yeah.
me joy and despair. Thank you.
I mean, you made that flux.
Yes.
that was the gut punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? Can you think of any other kind of character arc you might want to be starting at this point? It's okay if not, but
Yeah. I might want to talk with you a little bit
Yeah.
after, and then we can bring it up at the beginning of the next stream.
that sounds great.
Yeah. Just because I don't know all the options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is the first time I've played Invisible Sun.
Yay! Thank
Yeah.
you. You're doing fabulous.
Thanks. Yeah, so Shayna definitely sort of ends her day on a pretty low note. She does not like what the mirror showed her
Yeah.
in any fashion, and it very much sucks. She does not like having to kill the queen again. That very much sucks.
Yeah.
But she is happy that they got that rock,
Yeah.
which Calvin has. And
Calvin definitely gave to Shayna. Unless,
okay, yeah.
unless Shayna's like, no, I'm going to get very drunk. I can't be trusted with this rock.
Might
That's exactly what she
actually
would have said.
happened.
She said, "You hold on the rock. We'll pawn it tomorrow. I'm gonna go get drunk."
Yeah.
So Calvin has a sweet rock they're gonna sell. She's got those awesome gloves that she wanted that are totally nice, ordinary, normal gloves.
Definitely not. Could we read off their name or should we wait? Let's give a hint at what these special gloves might
They're
be.
the murderer's gloves.
The
for anyone
murderer's
who has the item
gloves.
deck.
Murderer's gloves.
You can't buy that in stores, friends.
Nope.
What a
You
delight.
pay
gotta-
for it in blood silver.
Yes, blood silver, the currency that you pay for things as an assassin.
Yeah,
What?
they're
Yeah.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
So I think I'm going to award you 2 acumen as you sort of progress along your more information about the Deathless Triumvirate arc.
Yeah. Mhm.
In part because of this weird Deathless Triumvirate charm.
Yeah.
Getting back in, being able to heist your house was kind of important for gathering your power again.
Yeah,
I think
gathering
that's-
tools together. Yeah.
I'm actually going to award 3 acumen total for sort of you progressing along those kind of arcs.
Awesome.
I'm going to award you a joy for Apollo,
Ooh, yay.
whose name I'm probably pronouncing differently each time, which is fine. And another joy for getting your stuff back, right?
Yay.
So you did succeed in what you were trying to do.
Today was so happy.
But have I only awarded you 1 despair so far?
Yeah.
It's definitely a 2 despair day. Let's just be real. It was a bad day.
It's a rough day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had some good stuff happen amidst some really, really dark.
Yeah.
So that's sort of your personal mechanic awards. Tell me about your day.
Darcival, over the past couple of sessions, I think, really just
no.
over the past couple of sessions, some things have been made clear. And the character arcs that I currently have written on my sheet are find a place in Saturnine. I think that has been closed.
Okay.
I think Calvin knows where he lives
Yeah.
now.
Cool. I like that.
They are
With his book bow.
also mysterious.
bow.
That's very
Hashtag
good.
book bow.
Bow.
Oh my God,
Look that
yes.
up. They are mysterious background. Who were you? I
Yeah.
think Calvin knows that now too. Learn why Daniel McPherson is interested in you. He definitely learned that at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
And perhaps most elusive, and most important, find a job.
Too real.
I am closing all of these character arcs
Yes.
You are closing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm into that.
because I feel like I mean there are certainly mysterious background. There's probably more to mine there and always
Yeah.
will be, but I feel like
Yes,
the big
the
picture
fundamental-
stuff has been answered. And I would like to immediately open 3 new character
Oh
arcs.
my God. Okay.
The first is Know Thy Enemy. And I must understand what the hate cyst is, I think.
Okay.
Cool.
The second character arc is Reclaim What Was Lost. And that is to find what has
Missing
been
part of the
taken.
book. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the final is Set Right What Has Been Done Wrong. And that is related to the loom. But I kind of feel in a larger sense might be related to all of Saturnine as the Deathless Triumvirate feel bad.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
Oh, Husbook.
Husbook!
Thank you, Sarek Vaster's
Thank you,
husband.
Sarah Pastor.
Oh,
You're
so
amazing.
good.
Oh my goodness, chat, you are on. I missed you. I missed you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some great character arcs. So character arcs take a little bit of acumen to open, but I'm just going to give you the total of the acumen you have in addition to for closing all those arcs.
Okay.
So just add 4 acumen to you sort of closed more than you opened.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. What about joy and despair things? How are you feeling?
So, kind of up and down for sure. I think that there have been some heavy despairs through this session. But I think personally, as a player, even stepping away from
Yeah.
the character a little bit, I was very worried about what that conversation with Libra Light was going to be like, especially with the card that was pulled for it. But
Yeah.
I kind of feel like even though we found out some distressing information, it ended better than like I was worried about that. And I
Yeah.
feel like there is some joy in that stability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was sort of like accepting both of you for your faults and for who you are now, and like for who you are growing to become together.
Yeah.
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 definitely take a joy for bearing your soul and having someone's soul bared to you, and finding strength through that really vulnerable time with even though you uncovered a secret that's really dark and distressful to both of you. So I don't think I've awarded you a despair for that.
You've awarded me 2 despairs this session already. There's just so much despair.
There's just so much despair. I did award you despair for that time that was bad.
This might be a 3 despair day for Calvin, because you did also have to get rid of your short bird.
That was pretty horrible.
That was so brutal.
And
like just goes to show how magic the game is, really, when you think about it, because we didn't know we were inventing that shorts bird. That shorts bird was a happy accident, and yet a purchase of sortilege destroyed the joy of that bird. And they weren't trying to do it. We did a random method to determine which.
Yeah, so that's the eeriest part.
That's magic, friends. I don't know what to tell you. It's a magical game that you do magic with.
Yeah. Take a 3rd despair.
It's
been a bad day. Thanks. That's a despair from chat. Cool. So you've got, what did I say? 4 additional acumen?
Yeah.
All right. Overall, the 2 of you heisted a hate cyst and didn't die in the process. You got some cool
I thought I was going to have to rewind time.
Maybe.
That's a thing I can do, everybody.
I can't wait for that.
You were 1 injury away from having 2 injuries away from having to rewind time. And
Yeah, that was very close.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I put myself in that position.
Oh, so good. There will still be plenty of horrible things you'll encounter.
I'm sure.
Don't worry, Shana.
Oofa.
Cool. I think let's give you each 3 more acumen for successfully heisting a hate cyst. Now, whether your escapades might be covered in the Notion next week, as somebody didn't notice a little reporter buzzing around watching them. You'll have to find out, chat.
Only time can tell.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's a session.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much, chat. It was really fun gaming with you.
Yeah.
Thank the both of you. Yay.
Thank you, Darcy, for running.
Yes, Darcy, thank you so much.
I love this more than anything.
I have to check our schedule to see when we will be back, because I think there might be a gap week, but I don't remember.
It is a gap week, but I think it's in 2 weeks. I think we'll be back next Tuesday.
So we're going to be back on the 5th at the same time, at the same place, twitch.tv/OneShotRPG. This Thursday is going to be the return of the A Woman with Hollow Eyes podcast. We fixed our editing snafu, so those episodes are going to start coming back again. I'm very, very excited about getting that train rolling. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please share it with your friends and tell them that you love it so that we can hang out with more delightfully creative people.
Yes, and again, Invisible Sun is getting a digital edition starting tomorrow. So
Yay.
That's really exciting. Thank you so much for making this world a really special place for us. And thank you, Joe, for making an awesome, beautiful set for us to hang out in.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
All right, return to shadow, but return with your hearts lightened a little bit, I hope, or darkened, but in like a real bittersweet way.
Yeah, it's fun to cry sometimes.
Yeah, have some fun crying, folks. We'll see you next week.
Those shorts.
Those shorts. That queen.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.